This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
The Colts are going for it. 4th down and a yard. Tyler Warren drops the ball after going under center and was going to run a quarterback sneak. And the ball was kicked away.
Sauce just limped from the Colts tunnel out to the sideline wearing a boot, pretty significantly limping.
1st and 10, Texans at the 11-yard line of their own territory. Back in the throw is Stroud. He's got time. He's going to launch downfield, picked off by the Colts. That's Cam Bynum at the 42-yard line. Takes a snap, looks left, fires down the left sideline into the end zone, and it is a catch for Alec Pierce. Touchdown! He covers 19 yards. Nick Chubb looking, probing, outside the numbers, left, trying to bowl his way into the end zone, and he does. He gets in from 4 yards out. Backing the throw is Jones. Looks left, steps up into the pocket. He's going to take a shot down the left sideline, and it's a catch. That great snag by Josh Downs. Daniel Jones.
Wide open.
Goal line, touchdown for the Colts. Tyler Warren, touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Running back left is Marks. They fake it to him. Now here's an end around to Nico Collins. Outside the numbers left at the 10. Cuts to the 5. He's in. Touchdown. Nico Collins with his first career rushing touchdown. And that's a drive that should have ended in a field goal for the Texans.
Houston, we have a problem.
When you have opportunities to win it, you know what I mean? You lose these tight games. Sometimes you win the tight games, but when you lose the tight games, it's frustrating because you're like, shoot, we could have had that, we could have this, could have that. You look back, it's 3 or 4 plays when you lose the tight ones. And so we got to find a way to get those 3 or 4 plays when it is a tight game like that.
For me, it's putting your head down and go back to work and making sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to put the team in a position to win games.
Yeah, I think every week the urgency, whatever your record is, but especially in division games, you got to have a ton of urgency in division games. And so now we're sitting at 2-1 in the division with another division opponent on the road. You know that we got to get ready for.
Not a Victory Monday. Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Fan Morning Show, along with Mark Dykton, who's running everything. Nice job, as always, on the intro to the show there. Got James Boyd on my right, Kevin Bowen on the left. Where do we even want to start with this football game? A 20-16 loss for the Colts on Sunday at home against the Texans. We had missed kicks. We had injury concerns. We had officiating blunders. We had an inability to make a big play at clutch time when the plays were there to be made. Kevin, I'll start with you. Where do you start at the top of this pyramid? Where do you start with the 20-16 loss?
Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving and all of our listeners as well, and that the travels weren't too severe. Mark Dykton, shout out the lone Houston Texan pick from last week. Mark?
Sad to be correct, but yes.
1 for 10, right? For the old station, I believe, if you add up everybody's picks. So.
I'll carry the station on my back.
I thought Max had it nailed with the dinosaur pick. I thought it was there.
Chose the wrong dinosaur this past week. But, yeah, I mean, you just you listed, I thought, very accurately. And if you don't want to look maybe a little unit-based, it was good on good. And their good was better than your good. Their defense was better than your offense. And what I think was a little surprising for me is I didn't feel like their defensive ends necessarily won the game. Obviously, Will Anderson Jr. made some plays. Certainly, Tanner Bortolini has one that he would like to forget. But I thought for Houston to come into your building and win, one of those two dudes would have to have a 7-point, 4-point sort of changing play, and they didn't have that. So, one of the biggest games of the Shane Steichen era, and this team loses at home, and there are some massive consequences for it. And now your grip on the AFC South is gone.
James Boyd?
No longer in first place in the AFC South. And if you think about it, a month ago, after the game in Berlin, they were number 1 in the AFC. So a lot has changed. 1 win, I believe, in the month of November. So that is some tough sledding there. And then from a big picture standpoint, we saw Sauce Gardner go down with a non-contact injury. They're labeling it as a left calf, but we'll get into it throughout the show. It sounds like that is a good sign. I would assume that when they test the Achilles, which everyone around here is like a calf Achilles, that you can tell pretty quickly if that is the nature of the injury. However, he'll undergo further testing, I believe he said last night / early today. So we will see where that is, what comes of that. But at the very minimum, I would expect him to miss at least multiple weeks considering that calf strains usually put you down for a while. And we saw that what happened earlier this year, actually, with Kenny Moore. That was like the best case scenario. He missed 3 games and came back. But, yeah, tough scene for Sauce. And he also had some unique comments after the game. I don't say that in like a trolling way. He really did. I asked him straight out, did they tell you it's not an Achilles injury? And he started talking about God. And I was like, oh, this is not good. I didn't want to go to church on Sunday after the game, usually before.
Calf strains in Indy?
I know.
Surely you jest, sir.
I know. What the crazy part is, I honestly felt like Daniel Jones, with his reportedly fractured fibula, was not the problem yesterday.
No.
I thought it was a lot of other things around him.
It would have been nice if he'd have been healthy for a potential quarterback sneak late in the game where Tyler Warren took a direct snap and fumbled it immediately, and that was that.
Yeah, definitely. But, again, I thought that he was relatively fine considering how stout Houston's defense is. It's just so much more other things we can point to and say this is where this team is lacking. So we'll get into it throughout the show for sure, but this team is reeling. Lost 3 of the last 4, and at this point, I'm like, you guys got to make some things happen. Otherwise, your grip on making the playoffs comes into question.
It was jarring seeing like the playoff picture images yesterday, and the Colts were a wild card team. Like, what the hell happened? It's been just a few weeks, and they're all of a sudden like at the 5th seed or something.
Well, you get Texans once again. You got 2 against Jacksonville. You got San Francisco and Seattle interwoven amongst those games. Doesn't get any easier, Kevin. Like, you're going to have to show up and earn your way in now.
No, it's the hardest schedule in the NFL over the final 5 weeks. So, it's going to set up one of the more critical months this franchise has had in a while. Short-term, long-term, however you want to look at it. Obviously, the injury to Sauce Gardner and his absence. DeForest Buckner is going to be out another week. I think, kicker tryouts need to be happening by lunchtime here. But that's just me. No one wants to hear me gripe about kickers. Clearly, you guys didn't want me to gripe about kickers.
No, I think today is the day to gripe about kickers. JMV, I was sitting next to JMV and Jay Query yesterday in the press box, and I don't know what came over me. It just happened. It was organic. When he doinked that extra point, you might have heard me up above in that next level. I had an audible, like, it was almost like the ball hit me. Ugh. And JMV looked at me like, what is wrong with you? And I've just been around long enough to know that in that type of game against that defense and what was going on, I know you guys felt it too. Right then and there, you thought, this could come back to haunt them, didn't it? Didn't you feel that way?
I had a line in my story that I wrote after the game, you guys, and I'm not some genius here. I said, if you make the extra point in the second quarter, you're not in touchdown or else mode in the fourth quarter, because that is also an implication of what happened. They had to go for it on 4th down because they're down 4, and they couldn't just tie the game. So, unfortunate situation, a lot more we can get into. Josh Downs, I thought, did not have enough of the Josh Downs types of plays that we're used to. He did have a great play there in the 3rd quarter, but a terrible drop in the 4th quarter. And I think generally over the last few weeks, he hasn't really been all that of a catalyst, a positive catalyst for this team. So, yeah, a lot of questions. I mean, Shane's not absolved of anything either. So, this is where you see what you're made of. And right now, for all of the talk we've had about the Colts and, them telling other teams, showing other teams that they're different, that they're not fraudulent, they look fake right now. So that is what my biggest takeaway from that game was, you look very fake right now. You were 7-1. You're now, 8-4. And the last couple of teams that you had, good teams, you had opportunities to win, and you folded twice.
They're going to have to try and find a way to pull it all together down the stretch. Good stuff, though. Over the weekend, the Class 1A through 6A state football championships over at Lucas Oil. I had the opportunity to call 6A with Matt Surface as Brownsburg completes an undefeated season, and they are back-to-back 6A champions with an impressive performance. And I tell you what, I'd heard about the kid. I've read about him. I saw a few highlights. But Brendan Sharp is the real deal for Brownsburg. There's a reason. I was talking to John Hart last week, their head coach, and he said, there's about a dozen Power 4 schools that have been sniffing around and talking to him about wanting to come there. The junior had over 150 yards receiving in the first half and a 99-yard kick return for a touchdown.
Yeah, I got some vibes, honestly, watching that, thinking back to about 10 years ago when Terry McLaurin was doing it on that very turf in the state finals there, and only a junior for Brendan Sharp as well. So, yeah, it seemed like great games. I listened to 4A. Ron Colley-Dwenger went down to the wire. Great game.
Fake field goal was the difference in that one.
In that one, yeah, he had a fake field goal. That was a huge call. So shout out to South Putnam, Andrean, Cascade, Hendricks County with 2 of them, Dwenger in 4A, and then New Pal with a big fourth quarter there in 5A. And
New Pal's like the honey badger of high school football teams. They'll play anybody, anywhere, any level. They'll just keep going.
Lucas Oil Stadium will be the place to be coming up Saturday, as it is going to be quite the scene there, and the Cream and Crimson infiltration to downtown Indianapolis will be alive and
so bad. There's a road thing this week for the Colts. I wanted to be downtown so bad.
2 o'clock over at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Indiana and Louisville, and that is the undercard, which is pretty wild to say that an Indiana basketball game involving Louisville is the undercard, but that's the state of the football program as they absolutely dismantle Purdue on the scoreboard Friday night in the bucket game, and it is 1v2 Saturday night inside of Lucas Oil Stadium, and potentially the Heisman Trophy up for grabs as well.
All right, lots to talk about. We'll recap all of it in a concise, quick fashion coming up in a moment on the Checkdown. It's a Monday here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hope your Monday is doing well as the calendar turns to December. It's the 1st, and the Colts are 8-4. But, James Boyd, they no longer are on top of the AFC South.
No, they are not. They are tied with the Jacksonville Jaguars, record-wise at 8-4. But since the Jaguars have a better record against common opponents, the tiebreaker goes to the Jaguars. So for the first time since Week 6, the Colts are no longer in first place in the AFC South.
You probably watched it yesterday, either in person at Lucas Oil or on television at home. The Colts lose to the Texans 20-16. There was a missed extra point. There were missed officiating calls. There was a questionable extra point called good for the Houston Texans. It all added up to crunch time for the Colts. They drove inside the 40 of the Texans at the very end of the game, but they turned it over on downs, and that was that.
That was, we should probably update on Sauce Gardner for those that missed it post-game. James, it sounded like Sauce was, somewhat optimistic. I don't know, the words were a hair vague, but basically, as of right now, the Colts will confirm a calf strain, and we'll see about the severity, but right now the A word seems to be on the back burner.
Yeah, that was the good news, and it kind of feels like, to some extent, James, if you've messed up, if your Achilles is ruptured, I feel like you'd have a pretty good idea that's what's going on.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I did ask him about the Achilles injury. He said, I don't think it's an Achilles. And I said, hey, were you told by the initial tests or trainers that you avoided an Achilles injury? And he told me, I wouldn't say avoid, and got into how God has a plan for him. And I was thinking, well, I'm a believer as well, so let's hope that God's plan includes you playing again this year.
This is a good time to remind people that Sauce Gardner was acquired for not one, but 2 first-round draft picks and A.D. Mitchell to the New York Jets. And if this is a long-term injury of any kind, you wrote it perfectly at 1075thefan.com, Kevin. It's crippling to that trade, if that's the case.
Well, and you need to stand on a table for what your boy did yesterday.
Oh, can you get me some celebration from Cool in the Gang?
All over the
Can you find me some of that?
Mark Dykton.
Like a wide receiver there. Fake to Hall, and now Taylor airing it out. It is caught. Mitchell, touchdown.
Get that catch counter going, Mark.
It only goes past up to 10. I'd have to do it myself. 13, 14.
8 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown. Is this what we're going to see from A.D. Mitchell now that he's on a different team? Or
he definitely has some talent. So
he
we'll
has
see if A.D.
60
Mitchell
more receptions to go this season.
Can continue that. Just a massive game for the Colts again coming up on Sunday. Jacksonville is the opponent. They took care of business with Tennessee, as James said. These two teams tied atop the AFC South right now. The Jags, a slight home underdog in this one. The Colts remain a favorite here heading into Sunday, 1 o'clock, and we know the history down there in Jacksonville.
How do you feel about the use of Jonathan Taylor yesterday? He touched the ball 24 times, and he had 85 yards on 21 carries, and I thought he started to become more effective as he normally does in the third and fourth quarter, but the Texans never really allowed him, James, to bust off the big one yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he was fine, actually. I know we were talking about the MVP level of Jonathan Taylor about a month ago, but I didn't feel the same way I felt after the Kansas City game following his performance. I thought he was fine, but like I said, at the end of the game, you needed more plays made by your pass catchers, and they didn't deliver for you.
All right. Let's look at college football for a moment. IU with an easy 56-3 romp over Purdue on Friday night. That sets up the Big Ten championship game at Lucas Oil Stadium, 8 p.m. Saturday evening against the undefeated and top-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. And we say this several times during the season now. We're back up again to, is this the biggest football game in the history of Indiana football now? Or was last year's getting into the playoffs the key? Where are we at?
I actually think this is an interesting question because I know they're competing for their first Big Ten championship, Kevin, but you've talked a lot about the implications of whether you win or lose and how there aren't that many. So I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest game will be in a month whenever they play the quarterfinal game. That'll be the biggest game. But, I guess up to this point, you can make the case. I'd argue probably last year's playoff game was bigger just because you're playing for a national championship here. Am I seeing this right? $400, the cheapest ticket to get in the building for Saturday night?
I'm actually surprised it's that cheap. Seriously. I thought at the minimum it'd be like $800.
People have been waiting for a long time. I just think psychologically it would be so big for this, for everyone. And this is why I asked the question about biggest. I mean, to beat number 1 ranked Ohio State to go to the postseason, which you're going anyway. But man, that just has a different ring to it.
I see what you're saying.
It
It will certainly be a statement victory. And as we talked about, this game, in my opinion, and the opinions of many others, is for the Heisman as well.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Notre Dame, the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish, got a win against Stanford, 49-20. They beat the Fighting Andrew Lucks. Are they a playoff team, Kevin? I can't imagine they would not be at this point in time, would they?
You're asking the wrong guy.
I'm putting them in, for sure.
I would.
It depends on what seed, I guess, is the argument now. But, yeah, they're definitely in my opinion. They've surged since that early, tumble, and they have one of the best players in the country, Jeremiah Love.
Also, Division II playoffs, UIndy done 35-27. They lose to Minnesota State. In Division III, it was North Central, a 38-6 win over Hanover. But DePaul advances with a 26-23 road win at UW-Whitewater. Kevin, you'll know this. Teams don't go into Whitewater and win playoff games at that level.
No, and that was a snowy scene. So shout out to the Tigers. They'll host coming up Black Sox Stadium, I believe. That is a noon kick.
Yep, against Wheaton.
Coming up on Saturday.
That'll be against Wheaton. And also, Marion gets their playoff run underway after a bye. They will play Kaiser in the NAIA playoffs in West Palm Beach, Florida, coming up this weekend. In the NBA, the Indiana Pacers, don't look now, James, a 2-game winning streak for the Pacers after a walk-off from Pascal Siakam on Saturday night. We'll take that.
Absolutely, and I'm so mad that it won't count as like a game-winning buzzer beater because somebody left .1 on the clock. We got to get the home crowd, the home clock operator to, keep the finger off the trigger there. But nevertheless, game winner and good vibes for the Pacers over the weekend.
Yeah, also the Pacers will be back at home tonight at the Fieldhouse, 7 p.m. tip against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Airtime 6:30 at 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. We talked about high school football just a moment ago. Your state champions this year, Brownsburg, New Pal, Fort Wayne, Bishop Dwenger, Cascade, Andrean, and South Putnam. And I know Andrean's up in the region, but man, a 7-0 win over the top scoring team.
Shout out to 59ers.
In all classes this year. And they shut him out. Did not see that one coming.
Yeah, shout out to Chris Skinner, the head coach at Andrean. He's now been a part of all 4 of their state championships. He was one time as a player, I believe, and then I want to say 4 state championship appearances as a player, assistant coach, and now 2 times as the head coach. He's won state.
Anybody else want to throw anything, one more thing, log on the fire before we move along here?
Yeah, how about the night for Zach Edey last night? 32 points, 17 rebounds, 5 blocks for the Purdue product. Saw a note that those numbers have not been produced in an NBA game since Shaq.
Ooh,
that's a good compliment.
1999, Shaquille O'Neal. So Zach Edey, a little banged up to start the season. Big night for him. And a lot of college basketball coming up this week, too. Purdue, Indiana, Butler all put up really nice offensive performances over the weekend in their respective venues. You'll start Big Ten play for the Hoosiers and the Boilers. This week it's at Rutgers for Purdue. Rutgers is terrible. Minnesota for Indiana. And then Butler will be back in action tomorrow night at Hinkle. So we start to get into a little bit more of a, back into kind of circle some college basketball games on the calendar here locally.
All right, that's what's happening in the world of sports around Indianapolis. We'll talk a lot about the Colts and their 2016 defeat at the hands of the Houston Texans at Lucas Oil Stadium yesterday, and we'll do it next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
KB, JB, and Jeff.
The Texans today are 0 for 4 on 3rd and 10 or longer. This is 3rd and 15, the 25-yard line. They're in field goal territory here. Christian Kirk motions out wide to the left side. Now C.J. Stroud clapping for the snap. He takes it, 5-step drop over the middle, throws, and his receiver fell, and a flag is on the field at the 15-yard line. Cam Bynum in coverage for the Colts, but slipping on the turf. I believe that was Xavier Hutchinson.
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. Spot foul. He fell down.
C.J. Stroud fist bumping in celebration, and that is a horrible call. We're looking at the replay, and Hutchinson literally just slips on the turf, and he was hardly touched. And in fact, he wasn't touched at all.
Not touched at all.
Listen, I'm not an official guy. I don't go after officials, but that's the worst call I've seen all year.
Oh, no.
The Colts get a horrible break right there. The anger level in Indianapolis is at an all-time high here inside Lucas Oil Stadium.
I mean, this is for all the marbles, guys. Jesus.
Coach Venturi, I am not going to disagree one single bit with that, but there were lots of fingers to be pointed yesterday after watching the Colts drop one of the Texans at home 20-16. You had the doinked extra point early in the game that set the tone for what you thought might be a problem later on, as it was. Then, aside from that horrendous non-interference call that Kenny Moore didn't even touch the receiver, I've looked probably 8 to 10 times at the extra point that Kai Fairbairn got credit for in the final touchdown that the Texans scored. And I'm sorry, that thing was not good. I don't know what those two guys underneath the uprights are looking at. I looked at it from 2 different angles that they had. You have to have the ball clearly inside both of those uprights. At the very least, it was touching on the outside of that thing. I don't know what those guys were looking at.
That was epic audio from Rick Venturi there. Mark Dyson, great.
They had
great
some
poll.
gems that I'll play later in the show. They were in their bag yesterday.
It's so funny. I always chat with Coach Venturi on the walk to the elevator after the game, and gosh, he's able to get so much more subdued post game than obviously was heat of the moment. The bigger issue I had on that play was the delay of game. To me, I don't get why delay a game is not reviewable, and B, why don't we treat it like the shot clock in basketball? Why don't we simply just have a red light that lights up on the play clock, and the umpire or the ref spots it, and boom.
It's a good take.
It is a flag.
Too easy.
Like, that's black and white. Kenny Moore, whatever.
And then it is reviewable at that point, right?
Kenny Moore, it was a bad call, but that's a judgment call. Fairbairn's extra point. I think he missed it? Yes. Is it a judgment call? Yes. Delay a game isn't a judgment call. It's obvious. Either the clock is at 0 and the ball hasn't been snapped, or it's not. So, A, I think it should be reviewed, and B, I don't get why there's this, like, unwritten rule of, no, the umpire looks at the play clock, and then he looks back up, and if the ball is yet to be snapped, then the play is allowed to be happening. Because we see plays snapped, I would argue, probably 3 to 5 times a game with 0 on the play clock. It makes no sense to me why this has become some unwritten NFL rule. So that occurred on that very play right there. Again, the pass interference was an awful call. And yes, I think the extra point probably was missed. Do we need to raise the goalpost to the roof?
I don't know, but I feel like at one point in that game, didn't they use like I believe it was the Colts' 4th down stop that they got.
The Hawkeye?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were like, the chip in the ball. We used some advanced data, and they didn't advance it past this mark. And so shout out to Nathan Brown. Actually, go check out his work at Indy Star as well, new Colts reporter. He was talking about after the game how they should have like lasers or something that just go straight up. So you know exactly if the ball cleared or not. That would make too much sense as well. But that one, to me, doesn't bother me as much. Yeah, I think the delay of game one is the one where I'm like,
both of them.
The answer to it, don't get me wrong, they definitely bothered me, but I'm like, if you're picking one that's stupider than the other, I feel like the one where the clock literally runs out is the simplest of the two to decipher.
That's black and white.
Looking at the explanation from Clay Martin, the official Shout out to Joel A. Erickson from Indy Star. He's our pool reporter. And for those listening, a pool reporter is the person who goes and talks to the officials about controversial calls after a game. And Clay Martin, the lead official, said, the back judge is the calling official, and there is a process on that. When the clock hits 0, he looks down to the ball, and if the ball is snapped as he looks down from the clock to the ball, we leave that alone. That's what he ruled on the play. So to give some context here, when you ask these officials in these NFL settings about missed calls, they never say they missed it. They just say, oh, I felt like this.
I followed this process.
Which I feel like is pointless then. Like, why do we have you sit up there and say anything if all you're going to say is, well, I felt like this was right. Well, I feel like I should marry Rihanna. It didn't happen. So in my mind, I just think that that's kind of dumb, and it gaslights you into like thinking you didn't see what you just saw with your own eyes. That's my only take on it. Like, why even interview them if they can't tell you I messed up? At least the NBA has the last 2-minute report.
Yeah, which is pointless, though.
That's pointless, too.
Yeah, we screwed up.
But, like, dang, they at least say they were wrong. The NFL just kind of smug. It's like, well, you know what? We were not wrong. Your interpretation of what we interpreted was wrong. What?
I'm glad you explained what the pool report was, because I'm sure there's an audience out there that doesn't quite know what it is. I think it's the stupidest thing. I mean, Joel walked down to us and was asking us, hey, what questions should I ask the official? And I wanted to say to Joel, it's a waste of your time.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get nothing. At least, if you really want to compare pool reports, 2-minute reports, at least the NBA will admit they're wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
The NFL is not going to admit that they're wrong in the immediate aftermath.
Right.
It's not like Clay Martin is in a locker room with Joel A. Erickson and they're going over and watching the film together and he's explaining, oh, yeah, now that I see it, like, did Kenny Moore, I forget his exact phrase, James, he said that he grabbed the receiver at the top of the route,
yes.
I believe was kind of the exact phrase.
An arm grab is what the official said.
And
if you look back at the play, he did grab his arm slightly, but man, in an NFL game,
I think I did more touching at my first school dance back in the day than Kenny Moore did on Xavier Hutchinson on that play there. Just, again, to me, the delay game is a bigger issue. And I thought the pass interference penalty on Alec Pierce was a bad call. I mean, Daniel Jones almost hit the cheerleaders with that ball. Is there an uncatchable element to? Again, these are where the judgment calls get into gray area. For me, what's black and white? The clock read 0. That is a delay of game. It should be reviewed, and we should have a nice little red light right around the play clock on each side of the field. And when it goes off, it's abundantly clear. It's a 5-yard penalty, and no more this unwritten rule of, oh, well, if it's at 0 and my head didn't look up in time and you snap the ball, voila, you can have 41 seconds in play.
Well, there are other things to talk about as well. And I thought that this was interesting from Richard. And I'm not going to lie, this discussion happened with 2 different media people up in the press box throughout the course of the game. And I think it's been there sometimes, and maybe it's overstated or not. I don't know. You guys tell me. You're around the team a little bit more. But I kind of agree with Richard here, who texted in at 239-1070 and says, I feel like Shane draws up plays like he is the smartest man in the room. He very well might be, but the play where you have Tyler Warren take the snap with DJ in the backfield, why not just line up and say our O-line is going to beat you? Instead of a bit of a trick play that ends up disastrous, I feel like this has happened more often than not.
That play is certainly one they wish they could have back. I'll tell you this, and this isn't some genius analysis, they're not going to QB sneak with a guy with a broken leg. So that's not happening. I think they really missed that element, actually.
And I'm fine with that.
Of their game. But, yeah, to the point of what Richard is saying, yeah, how about you just hand it to 28 and go out there and whoop somebody? But I don't know, man. I'm grasping at straws here.
Look,
I'm not necessarily like going to look at – I don't know if Shane was a problem yesterday. I feel like Shane was awful in Kansas City. But yesterday, I felt like the playmakers had to make more plays. Are we having the same conversation if, for example, Josh Downs doesn't drop that ball on 3rd down in the 4th quarter? Like, I don't know if it's
or
the
if the
smartest
officials
kind of
make some of the calls that we've been talking about. A couple of those things.
Again, we are in the camp of we want to, I think, blame Shane Steichen for everything. James, I thought you said it very well. The Kansas City game with I guess an injured quarterback, you throw the ball 8 straight times and abandon Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is much more of an issue than, can we not just say the ball probably should have been snapped and Tyler Warren probably should have secured it? Like, did Houston not run tight end QB sneaks yesterday?
They ran one, yeah.
Do the Baltimore Ravens
I was going to say, Houston literally had a wide receiver score his first rushing touchdown of his career.
Like, Baltimore does the Mark Andrews thing a lot. They don't do Lamar Jackson. They don't do Derrick Henry. Like, to me, there is an element of sometimes the dudes just need to execute the play. Daniel Jones is hurt. He's not going to QB sneak it. What happened last week on 3rd and 1? Jonathan Taylor got blown up. Like, it's not, to me, the QB sneak in 3rd and short, 4th and short is exactly the play call team should do.
So let me ask you a question on that, because you bring up a good point. Who's probably your biggest, strongest skill position player on that team right now?
Probably Tyler Warren.
Why not just have him take a direct snap and do our version of the tush push and go?
Well, that's what they tried to do, and he fumbled it.
Right, but I'm talking about under center.
He did.
Okay.
And he fumbled it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what the play was. The play was supposed to be a QB sneak with Tyler Warren. I don't, Shane's getting too cute. I mean, okay, Daniel Jones got a broken leg. QB sneak had worked, what, every time with Daniel Jones this season? I'm trying to think, James. I can't recall. Maybe got stopped once. It's like 9 of 10.
Yeah.
Whatever the percentages is, it's at a very high level. So what's the next best thing? In my opinion, it is Tyler Warren and following, Quentin Nelson and following, that offensive line. That was just a bad execution play by the players itself there. So I'm not in this, we have to blame Shane for every single thing. Did the Colts not come to play in their biggest home game of the season and one of the biggest games in the Shane Steichen era? Yeah, that's very fair to say. But on that individual play, I got no issue with it.
All right. The other thing that I did want to talk about, too, because I do think you mentioned this in your story, and this is a positive, is Alec Pierce developing into the clear number one wide receiver on this football team?
There's no development. He is. Period. Alec Pierce is the best wide receiver the Colts have. He is the most threatening wide receiver the Colts have, and I would argue he's the most reliable around the whole route tree, which that's where the developing part probably comes into play, Jeff. But right now, I mean, when you look back on that final drive, Taylor, gets stopped for, 1 or 2 yards on first down. Second down, they take the shot to Pierce. And then third down, Downs drops it. Fourth down, the ball goes off, Pittman's outstretched hands. Right now, this offense, if it's not going to Jonathan Taylor, it needs to be target Alec Pierce at all costs. Good things happen when you target him down the field. I think DBs panic. But I also think Alec Pierce is rounding out that route tree in the growth that you want to see. So to me, he is the number one wideout on this football team. It's going to be a massive payday for him. All of those things. I thought he was outstanding yesterday. And you know what? Shout out to Daniel Jones on that touchdown throw. I mean, that was a ball in a very small basket, and it was Alec. That dude thrives. He's probably the most unclaustrophobic human I've ever seen. I feel like Alec Pierce in those small little areas, he just so cool, calm, and collected, makes that catch seemingly every single time.
And I will say this, too. On that bum leg, that throw, couple of throws that Daniel Jones made yesterday, James, and especially that one to Pierce, the touchdown, those were sweet throws.
And a couple of the downs, too.
Man.
Absolutely. I thought that he looked fine, and this goes back to even the Thanksgiving Day practice where the video comes out and I'm looking at him, he's limping around. He's fine on stationary throws. It's the movement throws and obviously the scramble. We didn't see him scramble not once yesterday, I believe, which is probably a good thing, although we did see a Texans defensive tackle dive right into his leg for roughing the passer penalty. I was like, that couldn't have felt great. But he was fine. I didn't think that Daniel Jones was the problem yesterday at all whatsoever. He gave you a chance to win that game, which is all you can ask for from him. Is he no longer playing at an MVP level like he was the first month of the season? Sure. But that doesn't mean he's been playing awful to me. But I do think we're starting to see teams kind of figure the Colts out. I want to say, I know this for a fact, actually. Through the first 8 games, when they were 7-1, they were averaging 33.8 points per game. And over the last 4 games, I want to say they're just under 22 points a game. So that is a stark, that's like 11-point difference right there. That's a big, big difference in your production and the way you've been able to dominate teams over the last month of the season. And it will not get much easier from an opponent standpoint because of, that feisty Jaguars team. You haven't beat them in forever down in Duval County. And you also have Seattle and the 49ers awaiting. So, Yeah, it's now or never if you're going to kind of prove that you're not the same old Colts and you're not going to blow this away.
Jacksonville, we got to talk about them for a minute. I know they're coming up, and we'll talk about them all week long. But when you take a look around the AFC South, Jacksonville's now 8-4, and as you mentioned, right now have the tiebreaker over the Indianapolis Colts. They dominated on the road, and I know Tennessee is not a great football team, but Jacksonville's starting to feel themselves a little bit. They're winning some football games these days.
Tough team, and if you're looking for like marquee victories, they have a few of them this season, Kevin, and this could be another one for them.
Yeah, Kansas City, San Francisco, right?
Yeah,
beat the Chargers by a lot. So yeah, I mean it's going to be a huge one. I sound like a broken record. I know I said it last week. These two games coming into Sunday, if you beat Houston and Jacksonville in these consecutive weeks, I believe your AFC South odds increase to north of 90%. Obviously, you lost yesterday, so that can't happen. If you split, so if you beat Jacksonville coming up on Sunday, your AFC South odds about a coin flip. If you lose, those odds would drop south of 20%. So it just I don't think it's that hyperbolic to continue to stress the massive importance, not just, I would argue, for this season. I mean, there are some ramifications that if you bottom out here in December, what about the future? What about the future at the pillars of this organization? Those questions can't be ignored, right?
I might point to next week in and of itself. Obviously, you're playing Jacksonville. And now if you lose to Jacksonville on the road, you're a game behind them, and they've got a head-to-head over you, even though you got one to play left. And if Houston wins their game next week.
They got Kansas City Sunday night.
Yeah, they play Kansas City Sunday night. They win that football game, you might be looking at third place all of a sudden in the AFC South.
Correct. I mean, I believe if those scenarios play out, Jeff, I believe you'd be out of the playoffs. I think right now the Colts are the 6th seed. Mark, would you double-check that?
They're the 6th seed, yes.
6th seed. And one thing to note about the playoff picture right now, 8, 9, 10, which are the 3 teams obviously just outside. 7 teams make the playoffs from each conference. 8, 9, and 10, they all have beaten you. That's in some order. I forget the order, but it's like Houston, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. So if you get into the tiebreaker situations with them, right now, the Houston one, you could split it if you beat them in the final game of the season, if that matters. Right now, they aren't in your favor.
Well, as far as a couple of those teams are concerned, Pittsburgh yesterday, you got the crowd chanting, fire Mike Tomlin in the fourth quarter of another Steelers loss. Who knows what the health issue for Aaron Rodgers is going to be moving forward.
I saw a great meme that he looked like he had just he was one of the robbers in Home Alone.
Yeah, I saw that. They said he tried to mess with Kevin
That's actually
McAllister.
pretty funny.
That was excellent.
Had the bloody nose and the
he
blood on the
so old
face.
when he got hit. Got up, man.
And big surprise, he's blaming his wide receivers again.
But here's the other thing, though. If Houston does win Sunday night, that's bad in one sense for the Colts, but it does probably eliminate the Chiefs at that point, don't you think?
Man, at this point, you
the
need
Colts
somebody,
aren't in any boat to be cheering for that, man. You are in an AFC South boat, and that is point blank. Period. You can't be worried about the Chiefs. Mark, shout out to your Bears.
Just win, yeah.
That was impressive on Friday.
Very impressive. They are now
sports arousal, as JMV says. Yeah,
1 seed in the NFC with the Rams losing in the cross country game yesterday to the Carolina Panthers. I must say, I was looking across your way to see if those standings were up on your computer. Were you checking the bio of Carson Wentz?
I'm doing some research, Kevin. We got Goats of the Week coming up. Might have some research coming up.
What the hell has Carson Wentz done in the last 7 days?
It's called a tease. You just have to sit back, relax, and wait.
All right, tell him to stop cheating off your tests, man.
Mike Wells,
the professor here.
Mike Wells looking at him or something?
Well, hey, Mike Wells is probably feeling himself a little bit after the way Brownsburg marched to a 6A championship.
I saw Mike yesterday pregame at the press box, and he was holding court with a bunch of the Indiana University students that he teaches and mentors down there. And they were hanging on every word that he had to say.
Carson has a nice touch on his balls.
Yes, he does.
Don't believe that was the conversation he was having with
No, that was not. It was a legitimate conversation, but it was fun to see him in his element, man.
Scotty is looking hot in the back of the studio right now.
Was it that one?
How did he catch all these strays all of a sudden?
Is Saturday night inside of Lucas Oil Stadium the hottest football ticket we've ever had for a game in there?
What'd you say, $400 for the cheap seats right now?
What do you think? Obviously,
Is this with the context of the previous Colts home playoff games were like played at the former place?
Well, no, I mean you obviously have had Colts playoff games in there. You know, AFC Championship would probably be in a different level.
That's right
but
there.
in the let's say maybe the last 10-ish years.
Okay, because that's why I was like, okay, AFC Championship game is kind of big.
10, 12 years. But like if you look at secondary ticket market,
harder ticket to get.
You obviously had a national title game there, Alabama, Georgia, a few years ago. Like,
yeah.
I mean, this is it's not. I don't think it's at Taylor Swift levels.
That's what I was going to bring up. For sports, this has got to be it, right?
I'm hard pressed to recall something else. I mean, I'm not.
Royal Rumble tickets.
It honestly just kind of popped in my head. I really haven't given it much thought, so I could be dead wrong on it. But I mean, the cheapest ticket being $400 on a Monday.
I always forget the Natties on a Monday.
Well, no.
He's talking about today.
You mean
Monday.
Today?
Yeah.
I mean, we're 6 days out from the
well,
end. Like,
boy, that's gonna be.
You can go to a Colts game in those tickets that are $400 on Saturday night for what, Mark? Like $40 probably?
I'm doing some cross-referencing now to see what we're looking at here. Don't look at my screen, Kevin.
You got to get a couple you got to get the folders. Remember the folders you'd have?
Oh, yeah.
Put up the folders and make sure no one can cheat on your test.
Right.
There you go. All right, coming up in a moment, we'll talk more about the Colts. We'll take some of your phone calls, get the pulse of Colts Nation today at 239-1070. We'll also check in on a bunch of texts that have been flying in all morning at the same number, 239-1070. Colts got a lot of work to do, and it's straight ahead of them. We'll tell you all about it next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
The Colts are going for it. 4th down and a yard. Tyler Warren drops the ball after going under center and was going to run a quarterback sneak. And the ball was kicked away.
Sauce just limped from the Colts tunnel out to the sideline wearing a boot, pretty significantly limping.
1st and 10, Texans at the 11-yard line of their own territory. Back in the throw is Stroud. He's got time. He's going to launch downfield, picked off by the Colts. That's Cam Bynum at the 42-yard line. Takes a snap, looks left, fires down the left sideline into the end zone, and it is a catch for Alec Pierce. Touchdown! He covers 19 yards. Nick Chubb looking, probing, outside the numbers left, trying to bowl his way into the end zone, and he does. He gets in from 4 yards out. Backing the throw is Jones. Looks left. Steps up into the pocket. He's going to take a shot down the left sideline. And it's a catch. That great snag by Josh Downs. Daniel Jones.
Wide open.
Goal line. Touchdown for the Colts. Tyler Warren. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Running back left is Marks. They fake it to him. Now here's an end around to Nico Collins. Outside the numbers left at the 10. Cuts to the 5. He's in. Touchdown. Nico Collins with his first career rushing touchdown. And that's a drive that should have ended in a field goal for the Texans.
Houston, we have a problem.
When you have opportunities to win it, you know what I mean? You lose these tight games. Sometimes you win the tight games, but when you lose the tight games, it's frustrating because you're like, shoot, we could have had that, we could have this, could have that. You look back, it's 3 or 4 plays when you lose the tight ones. And so we got to find a way to get those 3 or 4 plays when it is a tight game like that.
For me, it's putting your head down and go back to work and making sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to put the team in a position to win games.
Yeah, I think every week the urgency, whatever your record is, but especially in division games, you got to have a ton of urgency in division games. And so now we're sitting at 2-1 in the division with another division opponent on the road. You know that we got to get ready for.
Good morning. I wish we could make your day a little brighter if you're a Colts fan, but they did lose 20-16 to the Houston Texans yesterday. Great recap there, as always, by Mark Dykton, along with James Boyd and Kevin Bowen. I'm Jeff Rickard. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show. And all of a sudden, a team that was on top of the entire AFC just a couple of weeks ago is fighting for their playoff lives over the final several weeks of the season. Yes, Kevin Bowen, they would be in the playoffs as a wild card team today, but you talk about the fact that by the numbers, they've got the most difficult schedule remaining in the NFL and a couple of division games, which I suppose you could look at as opportunities too. You know, you get to play Jacksonville twice. You get to play Houston again in their building next time. And sandwiched in between, you've got Seattle and San Francisco. You got to start playing your best football again. And I don't know if that means coming back from injuries. We'll talk about Sauce Gardner in a minute. I don't know what the time for being fully healed for Daniel Jones is going to be, or if that ever gets fully healed over the course of the season. I don't know, but you got to start playing your best football right now. You might not get to the postseason.
If the playoffs start today, you know who the Colts would play in the playoffs?
They would go to Jacksonville.
At Jacksonville.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
that's wild.
I think you just brought Jeff down a couple more notches, man.
Well, but that's PTSD because you've been watching the Colts for the last decade. Jacksonville's not good for the Colts.
Not kind down there in Duval.
Yeah,
County.
I mean, yesterday was one of the biggest games in the Shane Steichen era, period. I think that was mentioned. I know we only had 3 shows last week with Thanksgiving, but it had that sort of heightened urgency to it. Now, there's probably a decent chance you'll have another game or 2 that will meet that sort of criteria here over the final 5 weeks, but the grip you had on the AFC South, playing from ahead, for the first time in a while, record-wise, that all that is gone. Now you are fighting, and you're going to have to fight on Sunday without DeForest Buckner for at least another game. I would say how Sauce Gardner was walking on the sidelines, I'd venture to guess he's going to miss some time as well. And, I guess Freudian slipped there and said Mooney Ward. Boy,
what's going on there?
You just need better from him. I mean, I get the man's been through a lot, and he's been through a lot, certainly from a concussion standpoint this season, but it just seems like it's a step slow right now for him in the last couple of games. And, I hold Kenny Moore II, and this is a credit to Kenny, to a very high standard. I mean, he has been an outstanding player for this football team, and I just feel like we haven't got the same sticky Kenny Moore lately. And they play positions, James, where if there's any little deficiency, you see it. A lot of other positions, it can be hidden. At corner, if it's just a little slow, it gets exposed. And I just think the last couple of weeks with Mooney and with Kenny as well, probably Ward a little bit more if I'm going to be totally, honest and nitpicky here. You just need better, I guess.
I would definitely piggyback off of that. And he doesn't look like a number one corner, point blank, period. And that's what you pay him.
And you're talking Mooney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Javarius Ward does not look like a number one cornerback, and you need him to be that. But looking at this defense, it's like, boy, the vision of it was so good on paper when you made the trade. You bring in Sauce, you have Javarius Ward coming back. You, at the time, have DeForest Buckner playing at a very high level, and there's a chance those three players might not be on the field at the same time this season, when it comes to, or at least they might not be on the field together for an extended period of time this season. So we'll see what the future holds for Sauce Gardner. I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions and scans and tests over the next couple of days. And then on top of that, it is a question to see where is Javarius Ward's head at and how do you kind of help him get out of a funk, because I know he's not playing at the level that he envisioned for himself. So it won't get any easier. You'll have your hands full for sure down the stretch of this season. Hardest schedule to end the season probably of any team in the league. So no rest for the weary.
No rest for the weary at all. And again, I go back to it. I don't think any of us know, but the leg injury to Daniel Jones, does that have to be managed for the rest of the season? Can it get better if he gets 3 or 4 days? I mean, you sound like any kind of an injury to a bone, unless it's just a deep bruise, and it sounds like it's more than that. I don't know how it gets better unless you just get off it for a couple of weeks.
I thought they should have had Riley Leonard run out of the tunnel for Daniel Jones yesterday. I felt bad they made Daniel Jones run to the 50-yard line. I'm like,
to start the game?
I'm like, damn, God, man, can Blue carry him halfway there? Like, I felt bad for him. I think the Colts have expressed, James, that they do think this is an injury that can get better.
Yes.
As the season moves along.
But I have a question about that. So, Dr. James here, James Boyd.
Dr. James Andrews.
Yes.
James Boyd.
How much better does your leg get when a 300-pound man dives into it in a football game? Because anything that can get better can get worse. And I'm not saying that's the case for him, but I can't drink all of the Kool-Aid they're giving out to us. Like, oh, he'll get better. In due time, he'll be 100% again. Yes and no. There's a possibility that you can get worse. I don't want to sit here and act like I'm too stupid to realize that. The idea is that you don't want him to get hit very often. He took some hits to that lower extremity yesterday, last game. So that is something I want to keep an eye on, and I wonder if that is a factor in how quickly or not quickly you get better.
Yeah, given how this offense is right now, you need the Daniel Jones you saw a little bit in Germany, and that was a guy that scrambled his way to some critical yardages, first downs, and right now you don't have that. Now, he obviously made several, I thought, big-time throws. I thought the throws to downs there on that one drive, one was negated by the Bernard Ryman holding. I mean, those were some big league Sunday throws, but, again, he still quarterbacked an offense that was, 3 of 10 on third down and had its, lowest point total of the season. So, health-wise with him, it's just, can you get back, I guess, to a little bit more of he can do some things that are not just scripted 3-5-step drops. I think one of the more frustrating aspects to the overall loss yesterday, like Daniel Jones was sacked one time.
Yeah.
If you would have told me that walking into Lucas Oil Stadium yesterday, Daniel Jones can be sacked one time in this game.
Especially because they sacked Josh Allen eight times the week before.
And he's not going to fumble on the play. That drive's going to end in a punt. I would say, wow, the Colts are going to win this game. But Nico Collins did Nico Collins things, and Houston, when they needed to get stops, they got those stops. And look, I know it turned into a little bit of a bit, and it was half joking, half serious, and I was probably more serious than you guys wanted to believe in me. But the Colts have a kicker problem.
No, I've been there all along. with you.
Nah.
We need to check the tapes. I think I was.
You were on an island by yourself.
Like Mark Dykman was on the Texans island going into yesterday. I think I was on the Michael Badgley.
No, you were definitely
is a
on the
problem
island.
I think you and I had the conversation before I was out, maybe a week and a half ago, about I didn't feel comfortable with the Colts kicker at all.
I think most NFL fans realize this, but missing 3 extra points in 7 games is absolutely egregious. I don't care if you're a starting kicker or you're a backup kicker. And James, I think not to, well, I guess we have to because it's a conversation you actually talking about postgame. Right now with Michael Badgley, you always had the distance question with him.
Right.
If you want to make the basketball analogy, he's not the 3-point shooter.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. All the layups need to be made.
Yeah.
And right now, 3 missed extra points in 7 games, to put it into a little bit of perspective, from 2021 all the way up into Michael Badgley joining the team a month ago, the Colts had missed 2 extra points in about 150 attempts. You're talking 150-some attempts. They had missed 2. He's now missed 3.
Yeah.
In what, 20 attempts? And think about where he's missed these kicks. Indoors yesterday. James, you were in Germany. Not like it was windy there. It was chilly, but that was not windy. And the other one was in an 80-degree game in California where, hell, it's pretty much a dome. Like, I don't – it's the Colts need to do the kicker tryout again, which I know that's hell, and I know no one wants to do it, but that's a reality.
Yeah.
Is he the kicker on Sunday?
He should not be, but I don't know, Jeff, to be honest with you. James, I don't know if you have a better read on the situation. I don't necessarily got the vibe pre-yesterday that the Colts had a heightened whatever, microscope on their kicker situation. Now, when you miss one in a game like that, and it comes down to needing 3 or 4 at the end of the game, maybe that raises it to another level. But I don't know. I just didn't get the vibe that they were as nervous about Badgley as I was.
I think after that game, Shane kind of left the door open because I did ask him directly, basically, should you cut this guy? And the question itself was phrased as, do you have to have a conversation about his future with your team? And in my mind, I'm thinking the lack of the future with your team because he shouldn't be brought back to kick for you. But he was, after the game, saying, I got to make the free throws. I think that works well with the analogy you brought up. 3-pointers, extra, fine. Free throws, you got to make those. And to further your point, Kevin, me and Chap, shout out to the dean, Mike Chappell. I was going through this myself and double-checking my work after the game. So Michael Badgley has missed 3 PATs, point after attempts, like you said, in 7 games. If you go back over the previous 5 years combined for this team, from 2020 to 2024, they missed 4. Combined. So, yeah, I am fully on board. You were on the island by yourself. You were trying to throw me a little life raft there. This isn't the Titanic. Make room for me. I would like to join you.
Let's go to the phone lines, 239-1070 right now. It's going to be Rose and Jack all over again, right? Sorry, no room on the door.
Hey,
here.
Make some room for you, boy.
I'm going to hold James's wrist like Kenny Moore held that Whiteout's wrist on that DPI penalty.
Let's go talk to Nick next this morning on a Monday. Nick, what are you thinking this morning, my man?
Well, today I'm going to zag. I've got sympathy for Chris Ballard. Hang with me here. So, number one, his 2 biggest plays that he's made in free agency and trades are Brinson Buckner and Sauce Gardner, neither of which was on the field for the last 3 quarters yesterday. Number 2, if he hadn't signed Michael Pittman to a market-corrected wide receiver deal, he would have been questioned as to what the hell he's doing. And now that JT can catch, Michael Pittman is the 5th most important target for Daniel Jones. And he did pick up Daniel Jones, who's having a great year. However, I will say that the one thing that Chris Ballard always depends upon is having strength in the trenches, and the offensive line has been terrible for a month and a half. So I'll hang up and let you guys respond to that.
Nick, thank you for the call. I'm not ready for a Ballard combo, to be totally honest with you guys. I totally understand the question, and it's a conversation that several media members wanted to have yesterday in the press box. And I guess I said here on the first day of December, and where I'm torn on a big picture conversation, and let's just isolate Ballard away from Steichen right now. Let's say they're not tied to the hip. We view this as a very critical month for the Colts, do we not?
Absolutely.
Should 1 month all of a sudden decide Chris Ballard's fate 9 years into his tenure?
I think it depends on if it falls into the pattern of what we've seen over the last 8-9 years, doesn't it?
Does 9 years versus 1 month? Isn't that kind of weird? Like,
but if the
so
month
basically, if the Colts go 3-2 down the stretch, make the playoffs, versus going 2-3, miss the playoffs, 1 game difference, that is going to decide whether you keep him and potentially extend him into a second decade versus the rest of the resume? Like, are we in the post CB era?
So here's where I come down on that. I do think that the last 4 or 5 weeks are going to be important, because if they go 2-3 and they miss the playoffs, that's once again a second half collapse. We've seen a couple of times. It falls into the decade-long pattern at that point in time. Now, if they go 3-2, make the playoffs, and maybe win a playoff game, you probably change the narrative altogether.
So 1 game, 3-2 versus 2-3 here in the final 5 weeks, will rewrite the narrative.
But I think we always talk about, but the goal is to get to the playoffs and win in the playoffs, right? And that's not something they've been able to do with great frequency during his tenure. So if he changes that narrative and they get to the playoffs and even win one, that's different than fading down the stretch again, right? Because then you just fall into a familiar pattern, don't you, James? Or do you say, I don't know, injuries and other things out of our control led to this one. We like what we're seeing, and we got something we can build around now.
Yeah, I think I might be with Jeff on this one when it comes to how different that 1 game difference could be for you. And I think it has to do a lot with the psychological part of it, where you have not been able to win at this point in the year. Your teams, for whatever reason, whether it's this year, it could be injuries, and they're legit reasons. I don't want to act like they're excuses. I mean, your quarterback's playing with a broken leg, for better or worse. Your cornerback you traded for, who's supposed to be, all world, leaves the game on crutches with a calf injury. Who knows when he'll be back? Your other cornerback that was supposed to be all pro ran into his tight end, his teammate, and knocked himself out. So during pregame warmups, I mean, this is stuff you can't even predict. So all that in mind, I do think that he has kind of been dealt a crazy hand over the last month or so with this team. But, I mean, we could look at every single year and say, here's why they fell short. Why can't you find a way to finally get over the top? And I think that's the biggest thing with Chris Ballard. But I will say, after trading for Sauce Gardner, getting rid of 2 first-round picks, and the amount of money, quite frankly, you've spent rebuilding your secondary, whether it's bringing in Charvarius Ward, bringing in Cam Bynum, like the aggressiveness we saw, all these moves, in my mind, can't be made without the intention of bringing him back to see it through. You brought in Daniel Jones. He has been, for the most part, a revelation for this team. Now, last month has been kind of rough for the overall team. And for Daniel, he hasn't played at the level that he was. Some of that might be the fibula, but hey, he's out there. He's got to perform. So I just wonder, again, how much can you put on Ballard this season and how much you feel like, okay, well, this is your 9th year. Nine years in, KB, that's a lot of track record.
And that last part, James, and again, we don't need to have the conversation in more detail. The Colts got 5 games left, but there's a lot of track record in 9 years, as you said. So now it all comes down to either a 2-3 or a 3-2 final month of December. It's a small sample size.
I know, it sounds crazy, but it's like...
So basically 100 games comes down to 5.
Yeah, because you had 100 other ones.
Or 2 and 3, which, and a lot of people dream to have 100 other ones.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of people that resume don't get 100 opportunities or however you want to classify it. One thing, too, to note from just a thought I had walking out of Lucas Oil Stadium yesterday, and certainly will be a big storyline, and Nick just called in and laid out kind of some of the overall Ballard tenure. I continue to be – I don't know if there's a bigger miss in the Ballard overall 9 years than the edge pass rush. It is just so damn quiet.
Oh, and real quick, just to clarify this.
Week in, week out, year in, year out, they invest gobs and gobs of picks. They invest money. The edge pass rush is just library quiet.
So to your point about that, and sorry to cut you off there, the conversation I was having with Joel A. Erickson after the game was about the edge rushers and really about the defensive line as a whole and how well, to an extent, your backups have played. I think that Tommy Adebawore, Neville Gallimore, if you look at their numbers this year, Kevin, they've been like really good backups. It's your dudes that haven't performed, to your point. Kwity Paye, when's the last time we said his name like in a play that was of significance? I don't mean that as a diss. I mean that seriously. Like Atu Latu, I get that he has, the most interceptions by a D lineman in franchise history in a single season. That's great. Where was he yesterday? You didn't feel him at all. And that, to me, those are 2 first-round picks. Those are dudes that are supposed to be playmakers.
Yeah,
so
and whether you find yourself an outside linebacker, which really doesn't apply to an Anarumo thing, or an edge rusher, that's the one thing that Chris Ballard has ever failed to deliver is a guy that can potentially wreck a game. Who's the consistent game wrecker there? They don't have that. Let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You look at all the game stats that you want. You can look at missed officials calls. You can look at all kinds of different things. But at the end of the day, James Boyd, 20-16, the Texans come into Lucas Oil, steal a division win, and knock the Colts out of first place in the AFC South. What was your immediate reaction following the game yesterday?
They're in trouble. You're in big trouble. Your schedule does not get any easier. You have still some big division games coming up, and your offense looks so potent early in the year is looking stagnant, and you're more injured than you were leaving that game than going into it. Big injury when it comes to Sauce Gardner and his left calf.
Kevin, what do we know this morning about Sauce Gardner and that calf injury that they've been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the Colts have stayed away from the A word, and not to like put the doctor's hat on, but I do feel like an Achilles usually can be identified somewhat early. He first went in the medical tent and then went in the locker room after that. But Sauce did mention yesterday some further imaging would be done. Shane Steichen, though, couldn't confirm that the Achilles had been totally ruled out post game. So Shane will chat here later this afternoon. Some reports out there, though, have indicated a calf strain. And as James pointed out earlier in the show, for Kenny Moore II, playing the same position as Sauce for what it's worth, that was a 3-week absence earlier in the season. So we'll await some further clarity on that. I believe that was the only injury from the game yesterday for the Colts.
All right, so the Colts lose 20-16. They're now 8-4. They're in second place in the AFC South. And James, they will be playing the top team in the AFC South on Sunday in Jacksonville against the Jaguars. If ever there's a time to get a big win in Jacksonville, this has got to be it.
I'm telling you right now, I know we give our picks later in the week. I'm not picking them. I will never pick the Colts to win in Duval County until they actually do it with the eyes that I can see with. So, yeah, not picking them to win, but it certainly would help if they did.
All right, we'll find out what happens there. One more football game this week on what has been a very stretched out week. We had 3 games on Thursday for Thanksgiving. One game that you were interested on Friday, Mark, where the Bears won again. And then a bunch of games yesterday. Last night, the Broncos won in overtime, surviving a 2-point attempt by the Commanders at the very end, 27-26. Tonight, it'll be the New York Giants and the New England Patriots, a far cry from the rematch of those Super Bowls during the Brady era. Wouldn't you say, Tom? Or Mark?
Hey, Jackson Dart's under center, so you never know what's going to happen, I guess.
That's
nice
right.
way to cap off the Thanksgiving break.
New England Patriots could go 11-2 after 13 games. Kevin, would you have even thought that possible at the beginning of the year?
No, not at all. And they have a bye, right? They're the latest bye, so they are on the bye. By the way, that Sunday night game was wild last night. Stayed up for that. Nelly Bone and I had a good little 3-hour rock session, watched the Sunday night football game. Crazy game. Nick Benito bats down a Marcus Mariota 2-point conversion there on the final play of the game in overtime. Washington decided to go for the win. I respect it. Ball batted down the Denver defense once again.
What a freaking play.
I was talking about this with Mark before the show, too. Isn't it amazing how, just with regularity, the biggest stars come up with big plays and big moments? It's crazy, isn't it?
The Colts need a few of those.
It's rare that Ashley's locked in for a Sunday night game, especially a game featuring a 3-8 team. But she was locked in yesterday. She sat down and was like, "This is insane. What's going on in this
Washington
game?"
didn't play
Mariota
like
made some big time plays.
He was terrific last
Major
night.
hat tip to him.
Scary Terry.
He made,
shout out.
Terry McLaurin made some big plays too.
I like his celebration.
And like Denver just continues to live by. It's amazing. The worst 10-2 team I've ever seen.
I know. That's what makes the NFL great, though. We have a team like this every year.
I may start drinking watching that team. Every week.
I don't blame you.
I was not able to fall asleep till about 1:30 in the morning last night. They had me up on edge, Shane. All right, one of 7 games at Lucas Oil this past week in that Colts game. Others to win state championships there on Friday or Saturday: Brownsburg, New Pal, Fort Wayne, Bishop Dwenger, Cascade, Andrian, South Putnam. I know you were watching a lot and listened to a lot of those games Friday and Saturday, Kevin. They always deliver, don't they? It's so much fun watching those games.
Yeah, I thought the Roncalli Dwenger game specifically was great drama down the stretch there. Colin Ashen made some big plays for the Royals, and unfortunately their season ends just on the doorstep of the goal line there. But yeah, shout out to all of our state champions, and seemed like a great weekend over at Lucas Oil, and now it'll continue with 1 versus 2 coming up Saturday night.
All right, IU finished their football season undefeated in the regular season. Kevin, you'll know this. For the first time in school history, they just keep climbing that mountain. One accomplishment after the other. Next up, Ohio State and a Big Ten championship game, playing the top-ranked undefeated team in the country, the 2 undefeated teams. I know to date it could get bigger, obviously, but to date, a win over Ohio State on Saturday has got to be the biggest win in program history.
What do you guys think about the line?
I haven't seen the line yet.
5.5-point favorite for the Buckeyes.
Ooh.
I mean, that's going to be a home game for IU, right?
Home
game for IU.
I think that line might dwindle a little
Emotional hangover from the Michigan game? I mean, the Michigan game means more to Ohio State than the Big Ten title does to Ohio State.
That's probably true. Not even probably. That is true.
All right, quickly in the NBA tonight, the Pacers back at home. They'll be in the Fieldhouse beginning at 7 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Airtime 6:30 here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. They've won 2 games in a row, KB.
Yeah, they held Chicago and Washington to their season low in points. We definitely have not talked about defense of the Pacers a whole lot over the weekend, so very impressive. Cleveland kind of reeling. They've lost 3 in a row. They played last night, too, so they'll get the short end of the back-to-back stick, if you will. So, yes, much better from the Pacers here.
Didn't play with they didn't have Nembhard, though, right, on Saturday night?
The Pacers did not have him, one of those nights. I forget which one. I want to say he was out Friday, maybe played Saturday, or vice versa there. But, yeah, great defense. And just great to see Pascal Siakam get that moment, for the game winner on Saturday night. Vintage Siakam. So cool, calm and collected on the play. I thought for a moment there he might throw it to Matherin as the cutter, but knew full well how much time he had left. Got the pump fake.
Well, he said that after the game.
Beautiful.
He said, I thought about passing. I was like, nah.
It would have been really close, timing-wise, to get that off.
Other quick thing in that game, in the first quarter, Jay Huff, he became a sharpshooter. 4 3-point field goals in the first
14
quarter.
Points of the game, Jay Huff.
Leading the league in blocks per game, I believe.
And again, he's been inserted in the starting lineup, so that's helped, I think, a little bit of their defensive cause as well.
The Pacers Playbook presented by C&J Water, the official water treatment partner of the Indiana Pacers. CNJWater.com. Pacers tonight against Cleveland. Airtime 6:30, tip at 7 right here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. We've got Goats of the Week coming up next. Mark, get your ba on as we continue on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
It's a 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It is a loss of down. Second down.
Yeah, the line of scrimmage is the 9. He threw that from about the 11-yard line.
Yeah. They're headed back to Shapiro's right now.
They're almost in my garage on the south side.
I love it.
Let's see if C.J. Stroud can figure out how to work that kegerator on the south side.
Great stuff from Matt Taylor and Coach Venturi all throughout the broadcast, both in having humorous moments, ripping the officials at the appropriate time, talking about things as they happen. They did a fantastic job. Hope you had a good time listening to their broadcast, if that's how you enjoyed the game yesterday, or I don't know if you enjoyed the game or not, the way it all turned out. You probably enjoyed it till the last 4 minutes of the game, I would think.
I don't know, Jeff. It was rough early as well. When they came out with 3 straight pass plays and went 3 and out, I was thinking, boy, we might get some boos here.
Nobody was calling for anybody's head, though, like they were in Pittsburgh last night. Were you surprised to see the Steelers fans chanting fire Tomlin?
No, not at all.
Man.
Not at all. I think they were teetering on that until T.J. Watt. Honestly, so much of this Colts season, not to boil it down to one play, that T.J. Watt strip sack, beating Braden Smith, getting to Daniel Jones, that was a potentially season-changing play. Seems like ever since then, it's been a bit of a snowball down the hill for the Colts.
Well, that one's not our problem, but it was worth noting. Time to get to the best and worst of the week, Mark Dykman. Let's get to it.
Who is the GOAT?
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
Jordan, here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good!
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Or GOAT?
This guy sucks.
Of the week.
Oh, lots of places to start, lots of places to shine a light on, good and bad. Do you want to go to the good or the bad to start things off, Mark?
Colts lost, we go bad, and it's been a long time. We've been off since after Wednesday, so there's plenty to dive into.
All right, I'll start this off this week. The easy thing is to go to the NFL officials that worked that Colts-Texans game yesterday. They made so many mistakes that cost the Colts big time, in addition to some of the Colts' mistakes of their own. But I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go to the big bad Bill Belichick, who finishes his first regular season in the college ranks with a 4-8 record at North Carolina, losing big time to the rival North Carolina State Wolfpack Saturday. They couldn't get anything going. They're just not a very good football team. There was also audio released last week of one of the wives of the sons of Bill Belichick just openly ripping Jordan Hudson and what she's doing to Bill Belichick. It's a disaster. It's in Chapel Hill, and I can't, as a Colts fan, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all that it's Bill Belichick.
I feel like Jeff just gave me a rundown of TMZ / The Shade Room, which is where people in my life get their
like Mormon
news.
Wives episode right there.
Yeah, a lot of drama there. Certainly a good pick of the bag. Go to the week. I will go with Clay Martin, the lead official for the Colts game yesterday for this poor report. And I hate it. I hate all these poor reports. I think they all stink. Basically, every question he was asked, it was, well, we thought we were right, so we were right. That's a horrible answer. It's a horrible thing for the league to even give us. So I would just like a last 2-minute report, kind of like you see in the NBA. Does it help anything? No, but at least you can say you're wrong. This is stupid. You stand there and let them lie to your face. And also, a little insight there for those listening, the pool report, I'll have you know, is not necessarily you just stand there and record what they say. It's not like a press conference with Shane Steichen. You get on the phone, you do the thing, and then they answer the questions, and then you can't say anything until they give you permission or send you a copy of what they said when they clean it all up. So you can't even ask them a question in the moment to get a real reaction. They get a chance to go back and say, well, I kind of said this, so let's doctor it up a bit. I hate that.
Yeah, it is very stupid. I love the drama surrounding this next one, but that doesn't mean he's not the negative GOAT of the weekend. Lane Kiffin believing that he should coach Ole Miss in the college football playoff. This man quit on his team hosting a home playoff game, and he's whining that he can't coach them in the playoffs when he takes a job with a school that's in their same conference.
Clown.
Your decisions have consequences, especially in the portal era, especially when you're taking assistant coaches with you. Lane Kiffin, college football. I love the drama. It's the scene from the airport yesterday. The kid calling him the kicker's name for the Atlanta Falcons, Young Ho Koo. I laughed my you-know-what off at that. College sports are not real in the SEC. Lane Kiffin's an idiot for thinking he should be able to coach Ole Miss in the playoffs.
Hey, real quick, I will say, though, the reporter that called him a hoe, I definitely think that, like, you should be able to put hands on anybody that calls you
hoe,
that.
Mark, or is hoe allowed to be said?
We're letting it fly. Who's doing work?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Now to New Year's.
That's why I referred to him as the Falcons kicker. Young
my
Ho
bad,
Koo.
my bad.
That reporter also disputes that he used the word hoe. He made the description was there, but he disputes the word
No,
hoe.
anybody that call you that as a man, you should be able to put hands on him. And he didn't have that energy at all.
I was kind of hoping Kiffin would.
I was
would
team
hit him.
Lane on that one. Like, I agree with everything you said, Kevin, but on that particular thing, if you call a man that, keep that same energy. Don't run to Twitter and tell us what you whatever could have done.
All right.
Sorry, dump that.
What do you got, Mark?
The Minnesota Vikings are a team without a quarterback on their roster. J.J. McCarthy's been bad and injured. Carson Wentz on IR. Max Brosmer was horrific yesterday, and the only one left standing is John Wolford. They are a mess, and it's only worse by the fact that the guy who they let walk in free agency went to Seattle and helped beat them yesterday in a shutout, Sam Darnold. Darnold hasn't exactly lit it up. He's had 2,913 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. But the Vikings, all 4 Vikings QBs have a combined for 2,313 yards on the season, 12 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. Kevin asked why I was looking up Carson Wentz. That is why. The combination of Vikings quarterbacks don't have what Sam Darnold has statistically.
We got to go quick here. Joe Burrow, shout out, GOAT of the week. Love the pregame interview on Thursday Night Football explaining why he wanted to play with the Bengals still a million games out of the playoff picture. I get it, $1 million athlete, et cetera, et cetera. In an era of load management, I know a lot of people are quick to point the others for Joe Burrow to gut it out and play extraordinarily well on Thursday Night Football. Love seeing that from him. So shout out to Joe Burrow.
Shout out Chris Skinner from Andran High School. He has been a part of all 4 state championships for that team. 1 as a player, 1 as an assistant, and 2 times as the head coach. Shout out to my guy, Coach Skinner.
I'm going to stay in the high schools as well. Brandon Sharp, 250 all-purpose first half yards against Westfield for Brownsburg as they complete a back-to-back state championship run. All of that coming in the first half, 151 yards and a touchdown receiving and a 99-yard kickoff return. I also want to give a nod to Kyle Ralph, the head coach at New Palestine. They won last year in 4A. They went up a division to 5A, and they won that one too. It's pretty impressive stuff.
A year ago, the Bears fired Matt Eberflus. Fast forward to now, Ben Johnson has the boys at 9-3, the best record in the NFC. And he took his shirt off in the locker room so that Chicago gets free hot dogs tomorrow. Shout out Ben Johnson.
That's the key right there. Taking your shirt off for free hot dogs. You like that, don't you, Kevin?
I love. If Eberflus would have done that, he'd still be the coach.
All right, that's what's happening for the GOATs of the week here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. We'll talk a little bit more about a big college football game coming up this weekend in Indianapolis. That's next.
You know, you go back to work. I think, you know, putting your head down and focusing on what we need to do to improve. I think everybody taking accountability and ownership of what we need to do, and certainly I play a big role in that. So for me, it's you know, putting your head down and go back to work and making sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to put the team in a position to win games.
It's Daniel Jones, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. They've all of a sudden lost 3 of their last 4. Kevin Bowen, and now they've got what is considered to be the toughest schedule in the NFL over their final few weeks of the season. It's going to be tough, but it's also an opportunity. Here you go.
Sure. I mean, at the start of the year, you would have said, hey, 8-4, December 1st, and, you know, whatever, tied atop the AFC South. Yeah, you would sign up for it, but living in the reality of where you're at right now, it's a team that is definitely reeling. And you know, you look at the next 2 weeks. I think that's why yesterday was so important. It was at home. You had been a great home team all season long. First home loss of the year. You had scored what? I think it was at least 29, I believe, in every home game this season. And now you're at Jacksonville and at Seattle the next 2 weeks. So, you know, you close out the year at Houston. And, you know, it's not impossible by any means, but you've lost your grip on the AFC South. You've lost from playing ahead. And now it's really anyone's guess as to who's going to win this division. And if it starts to continue to go down the path that it is right now, I mean, you could miss the playoffs, which is just kind of wild to think where you're at entering that Pittsburgh game.
All right, speaking of playoffs, college football, the playoffs are several weeks away, but we've got conference championship games all over the country this weekend, including one a couple of blocks away at Lucas Oil Stadium. Indiana taking on Ohio State. Kevin, you had mentioned earlier that right now Ohio State's a 5.5-point favorite, but if you go to the ESPN.com analytics page, right now their computer models give Indiana a 50.6% chance of winning that football game. So by 0.6%, they're the favorite according to the analytics.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Oh yeah, big chance. I like the way Indiana's playing right now. Speed, physicality. I can't wait to see him go head-to-head.
I mean, I do mean this in all seriousness. Indiana will have more fans in that building. I think it will be a raucous environment for the Cream and Crimson. It's honestly a Saturday you dream of, I think, as a sports fan, to have your basketball team playing at Gainbridge Fieldhouse at 2 o'clock, and then you get the nice 2-3 hour break to do whatever you would like, and then you head on over to Lucas Oil Stadium for your team doing something they've never even thought was realistically possible in terms of your football program. And I also think Ohio State, I do think there could be a real emotional hangover from the Michigan game. Everything that's invested into that game for their program. And, you know, Ryan Day's been pretty outspoken all year long about, you know, it's a grind going on a playoff run. And, you know, at the end of the day, the Big Ten championship only means so much to a program like Ohio State. I mean, that's just reality. It means a world of difference to Indiana than it does to Ohio State. And if Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith, who have had nicked up injuries, if they get a little banged up there, you know, you're not going to push it, right? I mean, you'd be ludicrous to.
I am so happy for our friend Don Fisher. You want to talk about kind of a bucket list day for an announcer, a guy who has seen everything basketball, football for Indiana over the incredible career that he has had. To get the idea, to get the chance to call a Louisville, Indiana game at the Fieldhouse in the afternoon, go a couple of blocks west later that night and do a Big Ten championship game with an undefeated Indiana team taking on an undefeated Ohio State team. Like, as a broadcaster, that's a dream day right there, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it for him. I know we've played so many Fish highlights throughout the year, and, you know, his conversations, whether it's with Jake or with John, are always must listen to each week. So, just an awesome Saturday for him. And one thing to point out from the bucket game on Friday night, you know, when Fernando Mendoza's having a little bit of struggle early in that game, I would argue one of the most consistent aspects to Indiana all season long, and something I, and probably I'll say we, have not given enough credit to, their run game is elite. Roman Hemby ripping off the big one on Friday night. I mean, they can run the football, and they had a huge injury early in the year in that backfield there. So their ability to run it, I think, has really helped, you know, keep that offense as, you know, potently balanced as they have. And again, when you have a first quarter where, I mean, hell, Mendoza got away with a couple, frankly, throws there, you're still able to, you know, play from ahead, and you're able to rely on that ground game. So any sort of win on Saturday night or playoff run, I think we'll certainly have to lean on that run game.
All right, coming up in a moment, back to the Colts. We'll take your phone calls and your texts at 239-1070. We'll get to the text line in a big way for the first time today. A lot of interesting comments on there. We'll do that. Still time to get in, 239-1070. It's the Fan Morning Show on a Monday here at 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
If you are a Colts fan right now, would you rather have Michael Badgley kicking or Matt Gay kicking for you?
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
The Colts are going for it. 4th down and a yard. Tyler Warren drops the ball after going under center and was going to run a quarterback sneak. And the ball was kicked away.
Sauce just limped from the Colts tunnel out to the sideline wearing a boot, pretty significantly limping.
1st and 10, Texans at the 11-yard line of their own territory. Back in to throw is Stroud. He's got time. He's going to launch downfield, picked off by the Colts. That's Cam Bynum at the 42-yard line. Takes a snap, looks left, fires down the left sideline into the end zone, and it is a catch for Alec Pierce. Touchdown! He covers 19 yards. Nick Chubb looking, probing, outside the numbers, left, trying to bowl his way into the end zone, and he does. He gets in from 4 yards out. Backing to throw is Jones. Looks left, steps up into the pocket. He's going to take a shot down the left sideline, and it's a catch. That great snag by Josh Downs. Daniel Jones.
Wide open.
Goal line, touchdown for the Colts. Tyler Warren, touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Running back left is Marks. They fake it to him. Now here's an end around to Nico Collins. Outside the numbers left at the 10. Cuts to the 5. He's in. Touchdown. Nico Collins with his first career rushing touchdown. And that's a drive that should have ended in a field goal for the Texans.
Houston, we have a problem.
When you have opportunities to win it, you know what I mean? You lose these tight games. Sometimes you win the tight games, but when you lose the tight games, it's frustrating because you're like, shoot, we could have had that, we could have this, could have that. You look back, it's 3 or 4 plays when you lose the tight ones. And so we got to find a way to get those 3 or 4 plays when it is a tight game like that.
For me, it's putting your head down and go back to work and making sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to put the team in a position to win games.
Yeah, I think every week the urgency, whatever your record is, but especially in division games, you got to have a ton of urgency in division games. And so now we're sitting at 2-1 in the division with another division opponent on the road. You know that we got to get ready for.
Well, that's the tale of the tape for the Indianapolis Colts yesterday. A 20-16 loss at home to the Houston Texans. That's 3 of their last 4 that they have gone on the wrong side of the ledger. And they got the toughest schedule in the NFL coming up over the final 5 weeks. On a scale of 1 to 100, Kevin Bowen, what is your panic meter for the Indianapolis Colts right now?
6-7. 6-7.
There are kids cringing everywhere right now. What about you, James Boyd?
I'm disgusted by you, and I'm disgusted that you said that was good, Jeff.
That might have been my lowest moment in the show's history.
But both of you all, I can hand you a cane right now.
Mark, you can
like
turn off my mic
relics.
for the final hour.
Yeah, please.
And honestly,
rocks.
I do that now to intentionally drive my kids nuts and make them cringe.
It honestly might even be higher than 67 in all honesty here. C.J. Stroud, 3-0 inside of Lucas Oil Stadium.
Nico Collins also seems to always have a game against them.
Nico Collins is starting to do a little T.Y. Hilton. Just the reverse of it.
It's a good way to put it.
Scored on a run yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, every time it seemed like they needed a big play in the passing game, he made it too. So, yeah, I would say, in all seriousness, Jeff, 1 to 100, it's I'd say north of 70, James. North of 70.
Ooh, okay.
Where are you at?
I mean, you got 2 straight on the road. That's where I struggle.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I would probably, I'll put it at like 73. I'm thinking of like temperatures. It's a little warm, a little toasty right now for the Colts, and things are heating up for sure. From a bad standpoint, you definitely want to try to get one of the next 2 for sure, just looking at how things can shake out for you. And obviously the big one is the next week because it is a division game where you just haven't won. I was looking this up, Kevin. Reggie Wayne is 47. He played in the game that the Colts last won in Duval County. It was actually a factor. I think he had 4 or 5 catches.
Yeah, Colts rolled him, right? Andrew
Luck was in his 3rd season, which seems like a lifetime ago. Andrew Luck is now leading a college football program as its general manager, I believe. And then you have, again, Reggie Wayne, who's, in his 4th year, I believe, as the wide receivers coach. So it's been quite a while since they've won down there in Jacksonville.
That wide receiver core has done pretty well, though. And we got a text here from Matt C. that I know you responded to, Kevin, that said, KB, has anyone proved they need re-signed more this year than Alec Pierce? And I think you agree with that. But he has really developed into, I think, a number 1 wide receiver. You know what Michael Pittman is. He's dependable. I know Josh Downs had a drop yesterday, but he's been making some big catches for the most part.
I'm worried about Josh.
Year. What are you worried most about coming back off that injury that he was out for a couple of weeks there?
Whose injury?
Didn't Josh Downs miss a week with injury? No?
No, I don't believe that.
Was he banged
did he miss
up?
a game? I might have missed this, Jeff.
No, maybe I'm the one who missed
Point being, I don't think that he's had all that great of a year.
Yeah, I mean,
to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would agree. Yesterday was a weird Downs game. You know, he had a couple of massive drops, and then on that one drive there in the third quarter, I mean, he had some catches that were just insane. I was shocked DeMeco Ryans didn't challenge the one on their sideline.
Yeah.
I just thought that was an automatic challenge. This is a huge play on a third down. Another one he got negated by that Bernard Ryman holding penalty. But yeah, James, I mean, think about the drop on third and whatever that was, 9. You know, you probably get, 7 or 8 there, and you set up 4th and 2. That's a whole lot different than having to convert there on 4th and 9. That could have been the difference in the game. So, yeah, Downs, the Tyler Warren arrival we thought would kind of limit some of his opportunities, but there's probably been a few too many of just those drops. Like, I'm used to Jonathan Taylor dropping the football. That, to me, is not a surprise when it happens. But part of me wants Josh Downs to go back to wearing jersey number 1 now that Sauce Gardner's out for a few weeks.
Yeah,
I was thinking of Ashton Doolin. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Josh actually did miss a game earlier this year back in week 7. But nevertheless, I know that his catches are going to get cut into because of the addition of Tyler Warren. But I think when the moment has kind of come to him, he's not been as sure-handed as he has been in years past. So we will see how he kind of bounces back from yesterday's performance. We didn't get a chance to talk to him after the game. Well, at least I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Maybe others did. We're looking forward to catching up with him this week, just kind of see where his head's at, because he knows, like anybody else, that he has to deliver in those moments, and he didn't. And we're so used to him doing that.
Yeah, and again, I trust Josh Downs. I want to be very clear. I guess I'm surprised by it, to be honest with you, because he, I think, has proven to be a pretty trustworthy player, and there's still a lot of good there. I mean, he had one of his patented Downs plays yesterday, a ball thrown short of the sticks. He catches it, breaks a tackle, turns it into a first down. So, the Colts need him right now, because I think one thing we're starting to see, unless it's the deep shot to Pierce, I think it's a lot of underneath with this passing game right now. And how many times did you feel like Houston suffocated those routes yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Petrie, Kalen Bullock, Derek Stingley, when they
didn't
threw
see a
at
whole lot
him.
of Pittman yesterday.
Pittman had 1 catch, 2 catches? I mean, a very quiet day from him. So I think that's some of the blueprint that's starting to develop. And Daniel Jones would never tell us this, but I don't think he totally trusts himself right now to hang in the pocket for a while. I think now
he got rid of it quick when he could.
Which, again, I get when
that's
you're facing...
the right thing to do right now.
I get with your injury and probably with facing that pass rush. But, Jeff, to your point, again, I wrote it. I felt a little weird yesterday necessarily writing it as one of my 5 takeaways, but I thought Pierce just impressed me that much. And one of them was, I think Alec Pierce is unquestionably your number 1 wideout right now.
Yeah. Mo texts in at 239-1070, and this goes back to a conversation we were having in the last hour, Kevin. He says, Colts' big problem never goes away. Finish the process. It's been an ongoing thing since Luck left. Not sure what this is attributed to, but has not left the Ballard era. And if they go 2-3 and miss the playoffs in these last 5 weeks, that's just another season in the last decade where there was some hope and it goes away. Now, we've had seasons where there wasn't any hope, but, man, we've had way too many where they're fighting for it, they're right there, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and again, we had this conversation a lot hour ago. I don't necessarily want to delve back into it, but I guess just because the question's asked, we'll go back there for a brief moment here. On the Ballard front, just to kind of summarize my thoughts, how much does a half a season of good football erase 9 years of mediocre football? That's the Ballard question I think we have right here.
Yeah.
And again, we'll see how the final month plays out, but that's the question. How much does a half a season overrule 9 years of purgatory?
Lots of kicker questions this week, too. And Matt,
James, you got any thoughts on that? It looked like you had something you want to say.
Not necessarily. I think that when it comes to Ballard, and people were losing their minds in our YouTube chat and on text line. It's like, how could you say Ballard's going to get another year after this? All I'm saying is, with the amount of decisions that he's made and the magnitude that he's made them with, it is hard for me to see them moving on from him after this year.
Yeah, he's acted like a guy that has had.
And you've given him that power.
Right.
He gave away your next 2 first-round picks. He more than likely
and he
brought
was
in your next
encouraged to make
quarterback.
the trade if he felt good about it, right?
Yes, and then again at the time, everyone was singing his praises. Every move that he had made up until that point seemed like it was money. You brought in Cam Bynum. He's been a difference maker this year. You brought in Daniel Jones. For all the issues he's kind of had, even with the leg, you went from having the quarterback with the worst completion percentage in the league to the quarterback who, last time I checked, was on pace to have the best completion percentage in franchise history. So that's a point for him. So I don't want to be like a Chris Ballard apologist, but I do want to give some context here to just the reality of usually when you let GMs make those decisions, they're not getting booted out the door after that season.
He made moves like a guy that has job security.
Yeah.
One or a guy that made moves thinking, hey, this better work out. It could go either way.
Also true. The front office ain't signing off on that if they're like, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah. One quick thing on Cam Bynum yesterday, his end zone dance. One of the funnier things I saw yesterday, Zaire Franklin wanted to participate, but it looked like he wasn't quite sure what the moves were. Did you notice that, James, yesterday?
Was it Steve Urkel?
Yeah, it was Steve Urkel.
Yeah.
Shout out Cam Bynum for that.
It's like me at the dance floor of a wedding. Like, wait, what move is? I even on the electric slide. I'm like, slow down. I can't follow directions.
That's why I love the.
Did they say the right foot or the left foot? Yeah.
What's the other one? The Cupid Shuffle. They give you the directions in the song. That's the word. I actually did. I posted it on my Twitter and on my TikTok. I did a couple TikTok dances with my goddaughter over the Thanksgiving break. And boy, it is hard. She was coaching me up, and I should have the background, like the behind the scenes, because she was like, Joe Jackson and I'm Michael Jackson, and you got to get it together. And to me, it's so hard. They get it so quickly, but there's no directions. It's just like, watch this thing 2 times, and you should know how to do it. But like the Soulja Boy, I feel like, I kind of, it's intuitive. I learned how to do it. It was fine. Like the dances now are all hard. So nevertheless, I'm on a tangent, but getting back to the point here. Yeah, I think the celebration from Cam Bynum was great, but not enough, obviously, in a close game yesterday, a close loss. And, Mark, I don't know if you have the audio from Sauce of him talking about his calf injury, but I thought it was very interesting to just hear from him. There was a part in there, Mark, where I asked him, do you think you avoided an Achilles injury? And the response he gave was very unique.
Any idea with you? Is it just a strain? Do you have any idea at this point?
I think it's like a strain.
Did you fear the worst when you go down?
Not for real. I felt like I got a shot in the calf or something. But it was like high. So it wasn't. I wasn't fearing. I wasn't thinking of the worst.
So you said it was high. It's higher in the calf.
Yeah, I don't think it's like the Achilles or nothing.
So you have to go get a scan or something?
Yeah, I think I'm going today.
I guess what's going through your mind when you're blocking at one point or getting blocked and then you're going off the field and you need some help to get back there?
Just wishing I could be out there. The normal stuff, you know what I'm saying?
What do you think of how your unit performed once you were down?
I wasn't able to watch that much, obviously, when it came in, but it was like hard to like be so in tune because I kept thinking about this, you know what I'm saying? So I really have to watch the tape to analyze it.
Did you avoid an Achilles injury, or is that something you have to find out later?
I wouldn't just say like avoid, God got a plan for everything. So, I don't think that's what it is, but that's all God, just slowing me down a little bit for greater reason.
You were standing there. What was your takeaway from all that?
What does that mean? Does anybody know what that means? That was all God.
He says, I don't think it is, but.
Did you avoid an Achilles injury? I wouldn't say avoid. I would say that God has a plan for me. That means nothing. So, and I'm not saying he should have all the answers.
But then earlier he said didn't feel like it was the Achilles. Earlier he said that.
But he also said, I feel like I got shot in my calf. So a lot of double talk there, Kevin, in regards to Sauce's calf. And again, I'm not saying that he should have every answer after a game. I just thought that it was a weird interview that didn't really – I left it having more questions than going into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was hard to get a lot of clarity, obviously. It sounds like some further imaging, initial reports indicate not the old A word, of course. Kenny Moore, the second, misses 3 games earlier in the season with a calf injury, and then, the Tyrese Halliburton one brings up plenty of angst in our market for that. Obviously, if it was an Achilles, you want to talk about just horrific. On so many levels, because, it's December 1st. You tear your Achilles at this point of the season.
It's next year, too.
It's next year, and, obviously it's a first-round pick in 2026 and a first-round pick in 2027 there. So he definitely was moving really slow with that boot on the sideline. Not that anyone's moving fast, but, I think they actually gave him walking crutches, it looked like, in the second half.
He used those to leave the locker room last night as well. And I guess, and this is more just having covered sports for years now, assuming it isn't an Achilles, I would probably lean towards that. It could still be a pretty significant injury. But whenever I've been around any athlete that's tore their Achilles, the reaction is pretty in your face right then and there. And then once you kind of get the full scope of it, it's hard for you to kind of look at the present. The guy was back out there on the sideline dapping up trainers and talking to his teammates while they're still playing. He's in a boot. I get that it's not an ideal situation, but most guys, and women as well, who tear their Achilles, you're not usually going to be that engaged in the moment because you're thinking about your career, your future, all the above.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, and it's part of life playing cornerback, especially in the NFL, because when you are a step slow, it's noticed big time. And I think right now, Mooney Ward has been a step slow since he's come back from what was just a awful, awful concussion. And I even think the stickiness that we're so used to, and he's had an unbelievable career from Kenny Moore II, hasn't been as glued to defenders as we're used to. So those two guys are going to be needed in big, big ways. Not this week, but next week you face the top wideout in the entire NFL this season, in Jackson Smith and Jigba. So you need more right now from Mooney Ward. And I think a little bit from Kenny Moore II. Both guys have battled injuries this season, of course, and both of them are getting up there in age. And when you play the cornerback position, that's always something that you can't totally ignore. But the Colts really need it right now because we know DeForest Buckner's absence will be at least one more game.
That's the state of the Colts right now, as they've got 5 games remaining. They're 8-4. They are no longer in first place in the AFC South right now. They are trailing Jacksonville by a tiebreaker. They can take it all back in Jacksonville this weekend, or they could fall further behind. So we'll talk about that all week long. In the meantime, let's get you caught up to date with everything else you need to know heading into your Monday.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Been talking about it all morning long. Colts lose to the Texans 2016, less than 24 hours ago over at Lucas Oil Stadium. I know you do your 5 things learned, Kevin. What was the biggest takeaway from yesterday?
Well, good on good going into the game, and their good was better than your good. The Houston defense. I think what was particularly disappointing about the loss, obviously a loss given the standings kind of speaks for itself, but they only had 1 sack of Daniel Jones. And if you were to tell me the Texans are going to beat the Colts on their home field, I would have said, well, what'd they do? Sack Jones 3 or 4 times. One of them is strip sack. One of them turns into points. And Houston didn't really get any of that, yet they still were able to beat you. I think that is another frustrating element to the game.
I will say this, not to make excuses, but a series of official decisions in the first minute of the fourth quarter didn't help the Colts at all, James Boyd. A series of decisions.
Yeah, missed the delay of game on 3rd and 15 there. The Kenny Moore II.
The botched extra point call that they called good.
The defensive pass interference softest call of the game, and then obviously, like you said, I don't know what happened on the extra point. But, yeah, they have to be better. And that goes for, I think, a lot of the conversation around the NFL right now.
I got some thoughts on that I want to get to on the other side.
All right, we'll do that coming up in a moment. The Colts will play again Sunday in Jacksonville against a red-hot Jaguars team all of a sudden.
You guys surprised the Colts are favored?
Yes, I'm definitely surprised.
I think a lot of people just don't quite yet believe in what Jacksonville's doing.
Those people don't know what happens down there in Jacksonville.
Give me the heebie-jeebies there. Don't do that.
Liam Cohen seems to be doing a pretty good job down there.
Yeah. All right, so that will come your way on Sunday. We'll talk about it all week long. Meanwhile, in the NFL, 1 game remaining tonight. It'll be the New York Giants taking on the New England Patriots. And the Patriots, with a win there, they go to 11-2. They start to get a little bit of a stranglehold on that number 1 seed.
Is there a bye week this week? I feel like they've been playing forever.
Yeah, they have the final bye, and Denver did win last night, so New England still needs to win just to keep pace from a 1 seed standpoint there. But yeah, New England can go to 11-2, and not that again the Colts have much bigger problems than this, but yesterday's loss probably the nail in the coffin for anybody thinking 1 seed for the Colts this year.
Did I mention, Mark, that the New York Jets beat the Atlanta Falcons yesterday 27-24, and why maybe the Jets came up with a victory in that game?
That was strong. I mean, you were Prometheus. You had a vision. It took a long time to get there, but A.D. Mitchell finally shows up for a game and has a hell of a night.
So does this mean Jeff was right?
No. Not yet.
No.
He needs to do this on a consistent basis.
Not yet.
We
not
all
ever.
know he's capable.
Got it. Okay.
I think we for real though, I think we'd all agree that the talent is there to do this, but he just needs to do it consistently, right?
Right. The idiotic nature of the comment was more to do with A.D. Mitchell in a Colts uniform, given the depth chart.
Let's go. He was.
Let's go to New York.
All I know is from a talent perspective, he was the best wide receiver in camp. From my talent perspective.
I was happy to see A.D. Mitchell get in the end zone yesterday. I think he's a pretty good kid. I know a lot of people probably have...
No, he's a good dude. He really is a good dude.
Yeah, people have kind of written him, however people view him, but it was nice to see him get in the end zone. I was glad that it was a catch that pretty much got him into the end zone. He didn't have to think about crossing the goal line too much with that there. But yeah, big day for A.D. Mitchell in a Jets win.
All right, college football over the weekend. Indiana, no problem. At Purdue on Friday night, 56-3 there. They move on to the Big Ten Championship game this coming Saturday at Lucas Oil Stadium against the Ohio State Buckeyes right now. James Boyd, the Buckeyes are 5.5-point favorites in this one.
I think that line might get a little tighter.
All right, and how much to get a ticket if you want to get one today, Kevin?
I think $400 was the cheapest. Mark, you kind of doubled that with the Colts game. You said that same ticket would be what?
Same section was $606, $400 to get you in for Big Ten Championship. For the same section for Colts Niners in a few weeks, $160.
Okay.
Yeah, you go back the last 10 years, obviously a Super Bowl and, the Peyton Manning return game in 2013. But you go back in the last 10 years, I'd say this is one of the hardest football tickets, period, that stadium has had. Obviously, national title, Alabama, Georgia, was quite the scene, but should be an unbelievable weekend coming up Saturday for IU fans. IU fans, you've dreamed of this. Purdue fans, stick to the suburbs this weekend.
Also in college football, Notre Dame makes their final case for the College Football Playoff Committee. They get a 49-20 victory on the road against Stanford. Kevin, I think we all agree here that Notre Dame should be in. Question is, if they do get in, where would their seed be? Because they don't get a conference championship game.
I can't be greedy and worry too much about the seed. I think they're going to sweat it out a little bit here. But, Saturday night, for those that went to bed, Jeremiah Love, I think the Heisman campaign probably died once he got hurt. After the first series there, he came back and really wasn't very effective the rest of the game. But, yeah, Notre Dame's going to – Texas Tech, BYU. That's a big game for Notre Dame this weekend. I think they need Texas Tech, and we'll see what the rankings look like coming up tomorrow night. One thing to point out about the selection committee, there are, I believe, 4 former college football coaches on the committee. Why do they have college football coaches on the committee?
Eyeball test.
Use their eyes. And I think I'm not being a biased Notre Dame fan to say right now Notre Dame is one of the teams that deserves a playoff spot. Yeah, based off the eyes. And honestly, computer metrics are also on Notre Dame's side. But just based off you have the football coaches on there for a reason. Not to break down schedule strength. Not to break down, this analytic. To say, hey, you watched that team last night. Are they one of the best 10 or 11 teams in the nation?
Yeah. Do we have any ADs from, SEC schools or something like that sitting in this year?
Well,
how does that work?
The new chair is Arkansas, right? Didn't the Baylor guy have to leave and the Arkansas guy? So is the Arkansas guy going to be clamoring for Texas and Vanderbilt?
Well, one thing that'll be interesting, too, this weekend in the conference championship game, if Duke somehow wins the conference championship game for the ACC, do they even get into the playoff?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird how that is. We maybe can get more into this tomorrow, but the automatic berths go to the 4 highest-ranked conference champions, and that includes the highest-ranked group of 5, which I think there are some computer metrics out there that indicate James Madison would be higher ranked than Duke if Duke were to win. So the ACC, if Miami doesn't get in, would get shut out if Duke were to beat Virginia. Again, that's not a guarantee.
That would be good for Notre Dame too, though, right?
I mean, Notre Dame plays a lot of ACC teams, so probably not great. The ACC isn't very vaunted. But yes, Notre Dame obviously doesn't want Miami to get in.
All right, also Division II playoffs over the weekend. Indianapolis losing to Minnesota State 35-27. Hanover was defeated by North Central Illinois 38-6. But good news for DePaul. They got a win on the road at UW Whitewater, which is an accomplishment in and of itself in Division III. And they will now be playing this coming weekend against Wheaton at home. That'll be a noon game on Saturday. Also in the NAIA ranks, Marion will play in West Palm Beach, Florida against Kaiser for their first playoff game in the NAIA. So local schools doing fairly well at all levels so far. Later on tonight, Fieldhouse, it'll be the Indiana Pacers hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. That one's set to tip off just after 7 o'clock. We'll have the pregame for you beginning at 6:30 here at 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Looking forward to a little NBA basketball. See if the Pacers can win 3 games in a row, James. Putting together a little bit of a mini streak here. I like that.
Well, I believe it was Benedict Mathurin a little while back said, how come we can't run off 10 straight? Well, you got 2, so keep building.
Cleveland will be on a back-to-back tonight, and they have lost 3 in a row, so if the Pacers can pull off that upset, some things in their direction. And shout out to Zach Edey, banged up at the start of the season for Memphis. He produced a stat line last night of 32 points, 17 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Saw a note where no NBA player has done that since one Shaquille O'Neal in 1999. So, to quote Jim Irsay, that's rare air from Zach Edey.
Keep that going on. He'll have a lot of insurance commercials coming up in his future.
He has insurance commercials?
No, I said if he keeps it up, like Shaq, he'll have a bunch of insurance commercials coming up, right?
Yeah, shows you where my brain is. Apologies for not following.
Coming up in a moment, we'll get back to some of your comments as well as we break down the do's and the don'ts. I think we have headlines for the weekend coming up, do we not, Mark Dykton? Let us know how you think the Colts should be, I don't know, immortalized for that game yesterday at Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm trying to be nice here, James. We'll do it next at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
And Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Yeah, I think every week the urgency, whatever your record is, but especially in division games, you got to have a ton of urgency in division games. And so now we're sitting at 2-1 in the division with another division opponent on the road. You know that we got to get ready for.
It's a tough way to end a holiday weekend. You lose 20-16 at home to the Houston Texans, a divisional opponent, and you get yourself knocked out of first place in the AFC South, and then you wake up on Monday morning and it's 22 degrees and icy roads and gray skies and wind. How about that? That's just not right.
I'm good with it as long as we don't have any snow. I know people love the snow, and if I could make it so it only snowed on Christmas and looked all fluffy and beautiful and it was gone the next day, I would. But if the consequence of me getting cold is also snow, I don't like it.
Do you have an officiating gripe? Can I get it off my chest?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Grinch, have at it.
Lots of discourse about the officials yesterday in the Colts game. I've largely, part of my sports fandom, I've largely accepted officiating. I'm not one that's just a huge, my team, again, if I wanted to right now,
it's rigged. All of it is rigged.
Go back to the Notre Dame, Texas A&M game, one of the most blatant holding penalties you'll ever see on 4th and goal doesn't get called. I'm not. If Notre Dame doesn't make the playoff coming up,
kind of clean. But
if Notre Dame doesn't make the playoff coming up here on Sunday, I will not be griping about that. I promise.
Rolling over there.
I think
that was clean.
I think with gray area in judgment calls, you just have to accept it. That is one that what do they do about the pass interference penalty? I don't know how to
make a better call.
I don't know how to make pass interference more black and white. What you can make black and white is delay a game. And that's where my biggest gripe comes back to yesterday. It was a delay game penalty on the pass interference penalty that ended up being called on Kenny Moore II. So for me, we need the light around the delay of game clock, the play clock. You got it on each end of the field, just like a shot clock in basketball. Light it up. Have each little official that has a little buzzer on them. When it buzzes, 5-yard penalty. To me, I don't get why there's this unwritten rule of, hey, if you look down in it, if it says 0 and then you look back up and the ball still hasn't been snapped yet, we let these plays go. Because there's 3 or 4 plays every game where the clock's at 0.
Yeah, that's true.
And we let the ball be snapped. Why? Why is the NFL allowed for this? I saw a little conversation earlier. There's not tenths of a second on the play clock. Okay, well then put tenths of a second.
I was going to throw that out there.
On the play clock. But my biggest thing is, more than anything, just like a shot clock in basketball. Light, buzzer.
Ball snapped or it's not.
Whatever. There's 40 seconds on a play clock.
And then it's easily reviewable
not
at
41.
that point, too.
Exactly. Then it's black and white. And that's, James, that's what I said to Joel A. Erickson when he walked down to chat with us during the game, to go back to this conversation and let fans a little bit, behind the curtain, if you will. The 2-minute report in the NBA is pretty well documented. I think fans realize the day after a game, the NBA releases these calls. No matter what happens in the game, they release a 2-minute report.
Yeah, you don't have to go ask for it.
Right. Good, bad, what did they miss, what did they get right, et cetera, et cetera. For the NFL, they have a pool report. So for the home team, one media member is able to assemble questions and ask the head official those questions. Now, the merit of how that's done, James, I'll let you get to. But when Joel walked down to chat with us, I said to Joel, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to review delay of game, but will you ask that? Because for me, that's black and white. That is either a yes or a no. Did the ball go over the goalpost? That's a judgment call. Did Kenny Moore grab the guy's arm? That's a judgment call. Were they bad judgment calls? Yes, but they're judgment calls. We have to live with some of that. That's just how sports are. Delay a game, to me, that is a numerical clock value. That's either yes or no. So that's what I said to James, or that's what I said to Joel James, and he asked it, and of course it's not reviewable.
Well, 2 things. One, that hat is elite. I'm looking at it directly for the first time.
The same thing today.
That is every football fan everywhere. Big third down here. I don't know if you want to shout out the brand, but that is a great hat.
Dad brand hat, Mark. I don't know if you've been fed that on Instagram, but I was fed it and I bought it, and I was really hoping Maddie just wouldn't realize the package was at the door and I could just calmly open it.
Because I'm like, how many times have I said that in my life?
There's probably a phrase I don't say more in my life.
If I hadn't if I haven't fed it yet, I will now because you just messed up my algorithm by saying it out loud. My phone has heard it now.
I think the only other phrases I say more are, will you please eat your dinner, and don't hit Nelly with a dinosaur. That's probably the only phrases I say more.
I thought you were going to say like the word no must be getting yelled out a lot. Like, no.
Big third down here. I say it to Mike Chappell seemingly 30 times again. But
I think my phrase is always, gotta have this.
Yeah.
Gotta have this.
That is a good
There you
one.
go.
But
So-
James, sorry to interrupt.
No, I definitely enjoyed that. And, I mean, to give you all insight into how the pool report works, so it's not an interview. Like you just sit down in a room and throw your questions at the officials. You have to basically do it, I believe Joel was saying, is like through the phone. So you call.
We're going to have Joel on tomorrow, Mark.
Yeah, he'll explain this. But, like, I believe he, like, talks to the official through a phone. You have to ask very specific and a set number of questions. So they ask you before you even get a chance to really talk to them, what will you be asking? Then you ask the 3 questions. You don't have a chance to have like follow-ups in the moment. And then they respond via the phone. So you know what they say, but you can't tweet or post any of that until they send out the official report where they get to, in my mind, clean up what they said. So it's not, for example, when we're speaking on air, and I record what you're saying, Kevin, there might be some some filler words in there, whatever, from all of us. That's not the case with the refs. So it sounds very robotic when you get it very clean and well thought out. When in the moment, it might not even be like that. You have a chance to kind of go back and clean up or doctor up what you've said, which I believe kind of waters down the validity of whatever you're trying to accomplish there. I hate it. I think it's stupid.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll get to the headlines. Going to take a quick time out here.
One last thing, just to toss this in there. I think another reason why I hate it, James, is it's pretty much just stating exactly what they thought they saw on the field.
Yeah.
So, like, the answer on Kenny Moore from yesterday was, we saw a grab at the top of the route. Whereas the NBA 2-minute report would come back today and they would say, we missed the Jay Huff goaltend, the Miles Turner goaltend, whatever. No NFL pool report I've ever read has admitted a wrong. And again, it's 10 minutes after the game ends. Like, I almost kind of understand why they don't admit they're wrong. It's like they're watching film with Joel Eriksson in the bowels of Lucas Oil Stadium.
That's true. But also, they've had, this is not just yesterday, they've had some calls where you ain't got to review it. You ain't got to see a replay. And you still are saying, well, in the moment, I saw it like this, so that's what happened.
Does it make you feel better or worse when the official on TV chimes in and goes, oh, yeah, that was definitely a missed call?
Well, I do appreciate the clarity. Like Sterator mentioned yesterday on the goalpost, the ball has got to be, what do you say, fully inside of the outside edge of the goalpost.
Right.
That's like, to me, that's important clarity and knowledge into a rule we don't really know a lot about. So I do appreciate that. I know some people hate the whole official jumping in there, but I do appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah, I like when they explain what the official is taught to look at. Kind of something you had talked about earlier in the show, James. They also, right or wrong, have a process that they're trying to follow to make some of these calls, correct?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. All right, coming up in a moment, headlines, and I'll let some of you folks on the text line have the last word. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
I'm not sure. I think just got to find a way to make it. It's not always going to happen exactly how you draw it up, and you got to be able to make plays and make it work. So, I think we got to find a way to do that. It's critical in these games, and haven't been able to do it well enough.
Well, try to get it all fixed. You're going to have to hurry up and do it because the schedule is not necessarily in your favor. 2 against Jacksonville starting this Sunday. You got 1 against Seattle, 1 against San Francisco, and 1 against the Texans to finish off the season. That they just beat you yesterday. And all of a sudden the Colts have gone from being the top team in the AFC in just a couple of weeks now. They are, the number 6 seed as we sit here today, James Boyd?
That indeed, they are the 6th seed, and they are no longer in first place in the AFC South, let alone first place in the AFC. So a lot has changed in a month.
Mark, you ask everybody to send you immediate after the post game some headlines to encapsulate everything. What are the best of the week so far after that 20-16 loss?
Extra, extra! Read all about it!
I can't read it. There's no words on it.
I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world tonight.
Ripped from the headlines of the newspaper.
We'll do it live.
Post-game headlines.
Thing sucks.
So, win or lose, drink the booze. But in a Colts loss, I sent out the headlines, said 5 words or less. Give me your immediate thoughts after this game. Steve leads us off, says bland home cooking lacks sauce. I thought that was well done.
Very nice.
Really good. That was really good.
Another one said, now this is an emoji, so let me paint a picture for you. Shane, and then a poop emoji.
Ooh.
Different day. So Shane, poop emoji, different day. You see what he did there? See the play on words?
Mm-hmm.
That was Jeremy, sent that one in. Brylan says season on the brink, which we all know that famous book by John Feinstein. We also have some other ones here. Aaron, taking a shot at Kevin, said, when did we sign Notre Dame kicker? That seems a bit...
Notre Dame, unbelievable. Notre Dame hasn't made a field goal in a month and a half.
Scotty says refs can gobble on something. I wonder what that is.
Yeah, I was confused on that. I almost asked Scotty for a little bit more
I think
detail, or should I just let that one?
You let your imagination run wild, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I'll use it.
Alex says division disaster coming in December.
How about C? Water finds level, team drowns.
Ooh.
Terp says death, taxes, Colts yearly collapse.
Oh, man.
Ouch.
And this one from Lee. Carly is big mad.
Probably is.
How mad is Carly or say Gordon? That could be a conversation we might need to have again here in the next month or so.
Todd says fun while it lasted. A good old Rick Carlisleism.
Yeah, someone tweeted that at me after the old Sauce Gardner injury. I'm like, oh, jeez.
I don't know if mine can connect the dots well enough, but I was thinking, between Daniel Jones' leg injury, Sauce Gardner's leg injury, and a missed extra point, Texans get leg up on Colts.
Look at that, Jeff Rickard.
Texans get leg up on Colts.
Too many words, though. 5 or less.
Yeah.
Well, it was fun while it lasted.
I can't count to 6. Come on, you guys know this.
Honestly, though, I still lean towards that, though. They do have a leg up right now. It feels like the Colts are reeling in the division, and they got a big one coming up. You don't win this game, we got to have a conversation not only about the division, but you making the playoffs.
C-Fees also said, water finds level, team drowns. Well, that's a bit morbid after Thanksgiving.
I know.
That's where we are, though.
That's the thing. And
the
there was
sky
a lot
is falling in Indy.
There was a lot of talk. I was talking to some people after the game, outside of the press box and inside the press box yesterday, and the overriding feeling, unfortunately, for both fans and people who cover the team is this could get ugly in a hurry. If they don't play well in Jacksonville and get a win against the Jaguars this Sunday, it could start getting ugly fast.
I know we have a lot of listeners who practice a lot of different religions. Start praying to whoever you believe in, because the things I've witnessed, even in my short time on the beat down in Jacksonville, have been horrendous. I will not pick them. No, never.
Which fan base of an 8-4 team do you think is more hostile right now, Colts or Eagles?
Eagles.
It's always Philadelphia.
Come on, Mark.
The Eagles you would have thought
Eagles,
were 4-8
Eagles.
on Friday.
You use the word hostile fan base. It's the Eagles on every occasion.
That's true.
Nick Sirianni's 1 week away from being on the hot seat seemingly every week.
That's true. I feel like his tenure in Philly has kind of been like Super Bowl appearance, bad year. Super Bowl appearance, bad year. So he like alternates between being loved
But
and
like,
hated.
what are these bad years? Aren't they still good?
Let's change it.
Well, the bad by his standards is like make the playoffs and lose in the first round.
Let me
which would
rephrase.
here be a miracle.
Not hostile, but who's more fed up? Because I feel like while Eagles fans could be pissed off right now, they're also the defending Super Bowl champions, and they've had some
The
good
answer
years.
is always Eagles fans.
No, I see what you're saying though. I do think.
I'm sorry.
Because do we
Colts
have
fans
to
are like,
throw in
here
a
we go
caveat
again.
of like Eagles fans are just ridiculous as it is?
Yes, Eagles fans are SEC fans. You just have to put
That's
them in a
fair.
different
Okay.
stratosphere.
Yeah.
Again, how many fan bases show up to the airport to boo their head coach? SEC fans. That's it.
Yeah.
And those would be Eagles fans as well. That's it. So
Speaking of SEC, is that real that they put Lane Kiffin's clothes outside?
I want that to be real.
I laughed
hope
at
it
that.
is.
I was like, wow, that's petty beyond belief.
And honestly, I would like some of the wardrobe that I saw there. But Mark, to your point, Colts fans right now, and I mean, as they should, are feeling very uneasy about their situation. I mean, you've lost 3 of 4. You lost at home. Now you have 2 on the road. You've got the hardest schedule remaining in the NFL. If you look at Jacksonville and Houston's schedule down the stretch, I want to say Jacksonville in particular, much more manageable than the Colts. So, yeah, I mean, it is areas of your body that tend to clench. They are doing that right now.
Just quick question for you, Mark. I know you're feeling good at 9-3 for the Bears.
Yeah.
They get to play the Packers twice,
Mm-hmm.
the 49ers, Lions for their last 5. How you feeling about things down there?
Well, I'm feeling more confident than I would have. I also just think that they can kind of play with anybody at this point. They're just kind of, we'll see. They're getting in tight games and they're not playing their best football, but they're finding ways to win. So Packers are up next. I think Packers fans are a bit nervous this week, which is a nice change of pace, but we'll see what happens.
All right, that's.
I think Mark should take off his shirt like Ben Johnson.
Maybe I will. If they beat the Packers, I'll take my shirt off. Sure. No one wants to see that.
I'm the one that has to sit right across from him. Why is that?
I would love that, Mark.
Maybe I'll christen the new building. If we move in by then, I'll christen it with that.
Are you going to buy a Bear Speedo here? Are we there yet?
Not yet. We might be.
We're trending in that direction.
There was a Shuffle HBO Max documentary on the Super Bowl Shuffle that came out around Thanksgiving.
Ashley, you need to get him a Speedo.
Needs to.
All right. Pacers coming up tonight, 7 o'clock airtime, 6:30 here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Or you can go watch it yourself at the Fieldhouse. They'll be taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll talk